Hello everyone, I am no longer muted. Welcome to episode 15 of Passion Project, the variety show that encourages anyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that you've been working on. I am Amber Cyprin, I will be your host tonight, hopefully unmuted, and I encourage everyone out there in the speedrun community that if you have a speedrun project to showcase, you should submit it, whether it's your current favorite game to grind runs for, a new category or a game you've been routing out, a task you just finished, randomizers, bingos, you name it, I want it. You can submit to the show using the !passion command in the chat and following the link to my submission form. So before we get started with the runs that we have planned for tonight, we do have a couple of announcements. First and foremost, GDQ will be live from TwitchCon October 20th to the 22nd. The event will take place on the Games Done Quick stage as well as streamed live on our Twitch channel. Use !GDQX in Twitch chat to find out more info and check out the schedule. An Awesome Games Done Quick 2024 will be live in person January 14th to the 21st in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Use !AGDQ in Twitch chat for more info, and feel free to @GamesDoneQuick on Twitter to let us know what you're hoping to see on the games list. Remote volunteer applications do open up September 25th. I'm going in the past, I'm time traveling. Anyway, September 25th, keep your eyes open if you would like to help out with AGDQ from the comfort of your own home. So tonight here on Passion Project, we're featuring 3 fantastic indie games that have co-op features, and at least one of these runs will actually be in co-op mode. Joining me tonight is a T-Tree as they get to showcase Battery Staple Games' Roguelites series 20XX and 30XX, where you get to dash, shoot, slash, and wall jump through randomly generated stages and pick up random power-ups as you go along to beat bosses. So if you're a fan of the Mega Man X or Zero series, you're going to be right at home here, so be sure to stick around for this, as a T-Tree is going to be doing runs of the New Game Plus categories of both games back-to-back in what they're calling the 50XX run. That's how math works. And a bit later tonight, Tree here is going to rope me into joining them in a co-op Atari 7800 indie title, Rikki and Vikki, where Willy Fox is carrying many boxes through a bunch of platforming puzzles through Misery Land to rescue a couple of kids from the Misery Dragon. T-Tree, thank you very much for being here tonight. How are you doing?
Thanks so much for having me, Amber. I'm doing really well. There goes the joke that we were talking about before we got started here about how I was going to say, hey, have you ever run on your show before? Would you like to? But,
You know what? This is what happens when you run it to me at like 2 in the morning and then I sleep at like 1 p.m. like later that day, but it's okay.
Hey, glad you're here with us. Glad everyone watching is here with us. And yeah, like they said, these games are 20XX and 30XX. They are roguelites that are each formed, made by a small group of passionate developers, starting with a Kickstarter in like 2014, 2015, originally called Echoes of Eridu, which I only recently remembered after joining their Discord for some things that I was one of that game's 500-something backers. Made on a shoestring budget of like $20,000 plus whatever else they could scrape up, in the spirit of Mega Man X 1 to 3, thereabouts. So we're going to do this, and then I'm going to set up both of our categories. The 50XX is a challenge run where I'm going to be swapping between a New Game Plus, which I'll explain what that is in just a moment, a New Game Plus run of both 20XX and 30XX. For 20XX, we're going to be using the character Draco. We'll go ahead and get in and show you who that is and talk a little bit about what he's about. He is, for the PC version, a DLC character. Although on any of the console versions, I believe you are able to use Draco and his other additional companion, Hawk, after completing the game once. So there's a couple of things to talk about going on right here. You see a little robot with kind of an elongated body following me around. That is one of the next run upgrade items I was able to get from doing previous runs of this. Every time you finish a 20XX run, you get 3 options for things you can bring with you for your next game. And so what I'll be taking with me are the Crisis Life Bank, which is basically a thing that stores extra health, and the Patchwork Connector, which, if you look at the little depiction of our character over here, very much like the X games, there are what are essentially armor chips that you can find as you go. And so we've made it so that we'll get the bonus option from those sets after having 3 pieces rather than all 4. So the run of 20XX will start as soon as I go into this and pick the normal difficulty. And then when that finishes, we'll go ahead and swap over to 30XX as soon as possible. And the run of 30XX will finish as soon as we defeat the final boss and then escape, or perhaps not, we'll get there when we get there, from the final level. So if everybody is ready.
I'm certainly ready. Take me on this wild ride.
Very good. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so because we've played this game before, we get a choice of a couple of little bonuses as we start. Unfortunately, neither of those are particularly useful for me in the way I play Draco. Draco is a character who's kind of a mix between the game's 2 main protagonists, Ace and Nina. Nina being an ex-surrogate and Ace being more like Zero. So Draco has different weapons. You won't recognize, this hammer, this boomerang from having played those kinds of games before, but he's able to use some of their weapons, so he can kind of be a hybrid character. I'm now in a challenge room. I believe that said go fast, but I'm not 100%. So I expect my goal here is to finish off all the enemies as quickly as possible. There is that timer there. There's also a variation of this kind of room that's about not getting hit. I was able to get another armor piece. Unfortunately, while it is in the same set, which has its benefits, that set is one that makes powers less expensive to use. And I don't use any energy expending powers as Draco, so neither of these is of any real benefit to me, except that I might be able to trade them out for other things later. If you notice the little orbs floating around Draco's chest, that's his other unusual or unique system. They're called Draco charges, and they are essentially like held charge for an X character. When he expends a Draco charge, he gets an empowered version of a move. Like his primary weapon, the hammer, turns into that flying upswing. And so you can actually use that as a movement technique. But you have that cooldown of waiting for that Draco charge to reappear around him before you can use it again. This is the first boss occur. We'll actually potentially see him a little later on in, about 40 minutes, give or take. But the benefit of Draco's secondary weapon, that boomerang, is that if you're at the correct distance from a boss, you'll actually hit them on the way out and the way back. That's one boss up and down. After each boss, as you just saw there very briefly, you get the option to take a boss power or some sort of other power up. So in Draco's case, there are several unique weapons that we're actually looking for primarily. Or you can take a character power up, like more health, more damage, or more speed. Or you can just take 10 nuts, which are the game's primary currencies you can see down in the bottom left. So this is level 2. There are 4 atmospheres, or 4 different tile sets in 20XX, and we'll do 2 levels of each tile set. This is Agnesort, the factory. So this is the first one of those, and there'll be another one later. Always nice to see the enemies take care of themselves for me. Clean up the rest with our boomerang as we go. You also see, whenever you see an enemy with a different color scheme, it usually means they're a different variant. All right, we got one piece of the pink Draco pen set, which is nice to see. That's going to improve our survivability a lot. It is a set that allows you to get light steal off of your primary attacks, which, again, because I'm not using any power expending weapons, everything I have in my arsenal is considered like a weapon attack, and so can be used to gain more health. All right. Yeah, please feel free to ask questions in chat. Amber, if you want to pass any along to me, I'm happy to answer them. I'm slightly occupied with as far as being able to see them myself, but I would be happy to answer questions about the game, my history, or anything else that seems relevant.
Yeah, no worries. Here's a, if you want an unrelevant question, just because it'd be pretty funny.
Absolutely.
Someone asks, hey, Atitri, how do you feel about Fantavision 2020X or the Soda Fanta?
Okay, yeah, I know who that's from. Hi, Twimini. Good to see you here. Thank you for coming. Fantavision is a good game for the PS2. It doesn't really have much to it, but Say, is 20XX the remake or the updated version that they're doing that should be coming out for like PSVR soon? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I can't really give a strong opinion on that, but PSVR is neat in theory, I guess. Yeah, so that little piece of currency that I left floating in the air is actually the thing that allows you to buy pre-run upgrades called soul chips. And because we're just doing a challenge run to finish the game as quickly as possible, that's something that is completely optional. Going off the beaten path, because in 20XX, you can often see little bits of extra track that lead down to challenges. Unfortunately, that challenge gave me more energy, so the RNG really isn't favoring me so far. Nothing that's really upgraded my weapon strength, my HP, the kinds of things that I really need to see. This is a special kind of challenge called Lock the Blocks. It gives you a special weapon that you can see in the upper left. It's only available for that challenge stage. I'm not going to take the Ocjack piece, generally less useful for Draco. Oh yeah, I also picked up the bow called Gemini. Its base attack strength is rather low, but it has 2 shots and it locks in 8-way directional onto any enemies that are near enough. So it's really good for crowd clearing and getting through levels quickly, especially if you don't have any good movement options, which outside of the ones that Draco is granted by default, we currently don't. So I'm very grateful to have seen that early, if nothing else.
Someone also asked if you could repeat what color swapped enemies mean, just because they had to refresh the stream.
It's distinctly possible I might not have finished that explanation either. So what they
That's also possible.
They are elite variants. They tend to do more damage and have more health and occasionally different attack patterns than some of their enemies.
Yeah, they tend to be very, very... well, like for the casual player, they'd be very difficult variants of that enemy, but they do drop the currency that allows you to unlock, the meta progression of the game, where you can buy like new upgrades, new items, and soul chips. And soul chips are what allows you to do that.
Excellent. We've seen both of our primary weapons. There can be a little bit of swapping out depending on what we get, but the claw is called Vega, an obvious reference to the Street Fighter character of the same name, at least if you are US-based rather than Japanese. You might also know him as Claw if you are in Japan. Ooh, and some strength up. Lovely.
We like strength up in this household.
Yes. We do in fact enjoy seeing it. But Vega is basically a very short-range fast attack, but if you Draco charge it, Draco will dash forward and be invulnerable in so doing. So that is the other primary. Basically, the hammer and the claw are both, in addition to doing damage in a variety of different circumstances, they're also really good as movement options, which is why I always take the both of them. This is our shop for this level. What do we have? Yeah, I'm going to force glory zones to appear in all future levels and take another one of these little bots called Minimech O Grinder, which is a guardian barrier around me. Anything that would hit me from the angles that they're currently circling around at will hit them again, instead and be dissipated. This is another challenge type. We're getting a good variety of things here called Light 'em Up. As soon as you light up all the lights, the challenge is over and you can collect your armor piece. I'm going to go ahead and take that. Not my favorite to see. It is basically a hover. It's you can use it for longer than another one that's straight up a directional fly where you can put in an input and go in the direction you want to. But because we didn't have any before, it's worth something, and because it is also a part of a set that, with our patchwork connector, if we collect 3 pieces of the yellow set, we'll no longer be injured by any hazards, which include all these pesky flames coming out of the floor here that we're having to jump over instead.
Yeah, the hover is like...
Hey, go right ahead.
Like you were saying, like the hover, if you don't have anything else, the hover is definitely better than nothing, but it does lock your height when you initially use it. So like, it's like a double jump ability. So once a tree activates it, whatever X value or X height that Draco's at, that's what you're locked at. And you just kind of have to go left or right. You can disengage it and drop like a rock, but yeah, it's helpful to get across some gaps, like the conveyor.
I was about to say, when you said it's a double jump ability, I'm like, wait a second, there is already one of those.
There is an actual double jump, but it's an ability, it's a second jump ability. Yeah. Or like a jump ability, there we go.
So for Rollster here, I'm actually going to switch back over to the boomerang because we're going to lean into trying to hit each of them now that there's 2 of them. as many times as possible. If we can hit them on the way out and the way back, that'll maximize our DPS here. Finish up with the uppercut.
Rollster is a nightmare when you shoot. So these bosses actually get progressively harder, and the stages as well generate more aggressively the later you hold them off on. And Rollster is a nightmare by itself, like at level 8.
Yeah, both games actually do that. They have easy, medium, and difficult variants of levels and bosses. So anything that you face through like levels 1 through 3 are going to be the easy ones, or maybe it's 1 and 2, and then the next couple are more difficult, and the last few are the most difficult variants. Up over here, let's see what we get. Good, it is actually a power-up and not a kip item. And it's armor. Neat. So the reason they call that spreadable is you actually saw my armor pips go up by much more than 6 because I had several of an item called the armor spreader, which is exactly what exactly what that's referring to. I'm not going to take Blitz as much as I like the dash generally, because I'm going to see if we can get that armor torch set and be hazard immune, because that'll make levels 9 and 10 much, much easier. And most importantly, much, much faster.
Oh, absolutely. So, I played a lot of this in co-op before its like 1.0 release, and even like shortly after. Now that the game's basically at its end of life cycle in terms of like its updates and everything, you get everything that's that it says on the tin, which is great. But it's a good time in co-op, both online and local. I've done a lot of local co-op way back in the day with this, but you end up developing a style. I'm an Ace player, and Ace is not treated as well as some of the other characters. Ace is like your Zero surrogate. And me being like the child with where Mega Man X4 was the first and only Mega Man X game I played, I really enjoyed Zero's playstyle, so I took a shine to Ace. But Ace doesn't have the versatility that Draco does, nor the safety and distance that Nina does. So
right, Ace could easily be considered kind of the expert player's choice. You will find if you look at like the speedrun.com boards that the runs with Ace are generally the fastest.
Yes,
but he has to go right in enemies' faces. His technique, the kind of things he gains, don't really give him ranged options at any speed. So if you're speed running as him, you're putting yourself in lots of bodily danger. You need to have lots of health, lots of speed, maybe lots of armor, anything you can do to be able to take a hit and keep moving.
Have we talked about what exactly armor does in this in the game?
No. So armor is taken off first before health, as you might expect, but it also has an additional benefit of giving you another benefit that can be granted by one of the armor core pieces or the armor chips called knockback resistance. All right, we're going to go with hypercharge instead. So because I finished 3 pieces of the pink set, you just saw the number of orbs around Draco's midsection go way, way up. And that's going to also be really nice for levels from here on out, honestly. I can just kind of dash through enemies, do damage like that, and have enough left that even if I need to do like a danger charge, get out of the way of danger, I'll have extra hits left over. But no, so armor gives you effectively knockback resistance. You don't get knocked back. You don't have a period of time where you can't do anything when you're waiting. If you take a hit while armored. Switch back out to the boomerang. Because again, being able to hit enemies more than once is a very effective way to do damage. I'm going to stop just a little bit short of defeating the yellow one here and focus on the moon-colored one instead of the sun-colored one, because I don't know for certain. I'm not paying attention to exactly what level I'm on.
You're 5. Or no, this is level 6. Never mind. This is level 6 now.
Yeah, so it did in fact have the countdown timer. If I hadn't defeated the second one quickly enough, the first one would have gotten back up with however much health the second one had left. I figured best not to take any chances. All right, we've got 2 normal levels left, and then on to our legally distinct Wily stages, and then on to further adventures from there. So the shielded enemies there, they actually do reflect projectiles that you shoot at them, although funny enough, you can actually, if you have the right abilities, you can reflect reflected projectiles back. This is not Final Fantasy. Reflects can stack more than once. Let's see. Okay, yeah. That's not what I meant to do. I actually meant to go further down. You can use the right stick on a controller or other controls on keyboard to see a little bit higher and lower, so you'll see me doing that occasionally. I'll try not to too often because I know it can be disorienting, but having caught just a little glimpse of that, I wanted to see if it was, in fact, something that I could grab more power up from, and it was extra health, which is nice to see. I'm not necessarily going to take anything from this because I do already have a set, and it required me to fill up 3 of my 4 slots, but if it is a hat, no. It actually would have allowed us to have Hazard Guard if I hadn't taken the Draco Fence set earlier, and that's one of the things that, like, I really love about these kinds of games. You can make the best decision you have with the options and knowledge available to you, and then you can go into a very safe laboratory, which gives you horrible choices, and actually take it because, again, Draco doesn't use energy, so I happen to know that upgrade disables all of your energy and makes energy attacks do no damage, but it makes your weapon attacks much stronger. So we're very happy to see that. I actually was not expecting it and had not seen it a single time during practice runs.
Yeah, very safe labs in both games, actually, because they do make it a reappearance in 30XX as well, and are very much utilized. Yeah. They're kind of like high risk, high return powers. So usually it's we'll give you a ton, like in this case, it was like, we'll give you a ton of power with your physical attacks, like your normal attacks. But in return, we're going to reduce your energy to 0 and make your energy attacks do nothing. But like Tree said, Draco doesn't care about that.
He can, depending on how you play him. I just choose not to.
Yeah, like with your playstyle with Draco, like you just don't really care. You don't really generally use powers all that much in this game yourself.
That's true, even as Nina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I like to lean on powers with Ace a little bit more, because just because of like Ace's limited like range.
Right. Anything that can give him like a different arc to his swing. Like some of his weapons can do that, but the powers are much more reliable at giving him different options for engaging. And like I was starting to get at earlier, you make the decisions that you can with the information that you have. Like, hey, I'm gonna wait and see whichever set shows up first, whichever set I get closest to. I had 2 that were both at 2 pieces, and then one of them showed up first, so I decided to take that, even though I might have liked the other one a little bit better depending on the circumstances. And of course, the other one showed up later, despite there being absolutely no guarantee that it would. But because we're on the hotfix and because we're putting on content for the people. So that little fella with the blinky lights is actually a repro, a robot friend of mine. He is letting me know that he's taken enough nuts off the floor, enough money, to generate 2 random power-ups. So I stopped for a second to let that happen. We're going to say hi to our cat, Dally, the role of this game, and she dropped off a cranial resonator, which makes the helmet piece I have whoops, entered that one backwards, have an additional effect. So now I have the headpiece, I think, which means, if I'm not mistaken, if it works the same way as it does in 30XX, it will make it so that every time I pick up armor, it's actually worth more. Just like the armor spreaders, but again, even more. As you see, as we get go right ahead.
Oh, sorry. We had a very important question that we never actually touched on. You think we would? What happens if the character dies? Does the level reset like a roguelike, or do you have to redo defeated bosses? So this game, when you start a run, the run is permadeath. However, there is meta progression within the game where like you bring in currency called soul chips by defeating like elite color swapped enemies. And you're able to buy, like, run starting power-ups or, like, new items that'll appear throughout all future runs, stuff like that.
That is broadly, but not strictly true.
Yes.
If you were here when we started, okay, you were already here. You're going to lead into it.
No, you go for it.
If you were here at the very beginning, you saw I did have an option where I could go in Defiant mode, normal mode, or in challenges. So if you're in Defiant mode, it actually does work much like you can restart the level. I don't remember if this game uses a limited number of restarts.
There is a skull. There's a skull that lets you get 3 lives.
Got it.
Or not a skull, but like one of those, you know what I'm talking about. One of those, like, you can impose
Yes.
Modifiers, thank you.
Yeah, so this run, or at this point, you can see we have a lot less level to actually work with. I'm going to see if I can... No, I don't have the dash, and that's on my sword, right? If I can get up here, there we go. I can try to skip part of this. The fact that they're all tiny little islands at one square, this game's movement is, like, it still feels really good, but making some of the precision movements that I'm used to in 30XX don't work quite the same way.
Yeah.
See, I'm just stuck on this roundabout. Let's go outside and come back around.
Yeah, like, I will openly say, like, I think levels 9 and 10, like, the gauntlets are just genuinely, like, not the most fun. Because, I mean, you've seen, like, maybe 30 seconds of this level, and I've already had enough. Like, I'm like, this is a little bit nonsense.
So I went a little bit safer than I necessarily would have. Some of my practice runs came in with an amount of health. It switches from a pip readout to a numerical readout after 30 of either energy or health. Some of my challenge runs had as little as 10 HP coming into this level and just relied on using the dashes and the other invulnerable moves really, in a very tight and mechanical fashion. But knowing that I'd also be discussing this and keeping an eye on chat and everything else, I kind of went for a little bit of a balance between showing off what the game's all about and making sure that I didn't accidentally explode myself getting towards the end of the game, because it's very distinctly possible. Granted, I do also have the benefit of having my little crisis lifesaver. So assuming I don't die by falling or a couple of other things where it doesn't have the chance, it'll dispense and help me if I got low. But given where I'm at, I don't really expect that to be an issue. I don't think I actually have a system. So that little white wave on the left side of the shop is the system restore. If you... Oh no, actually it would have, because I do have the one from the Very Safe Lab where I got the brutish enhancer. But I don't care if that gets cleared or not. I'm still not using powers. This is essentially our boss refight. This is one of the two scientists that created Ace and Nina, and ostensibly also Draco and Hawk. And so he has a suit that lets him cycle between variants of all the powers. You see the ice spikes coming out, the little mini rollster wheel, the fire blocks from Kerr. Thankfully, he's not too difficult when we have as much stuff as we have stacked up.
I feel like this is the game's...
Wow.
I feel like this is the game's way of saying, like, hey, all of those boss refights take forever. What if we just did them all at once?
Yeah, very much so. All right, this is level 10. It's like
not
level
over
9.
yet.
Yes. It goes from let's get serious to, hey, how you feeling? You ready for more?
Like, hey, did you like level 9? No. Well, great. Like, here's some more of that.
What if we put all the projectiles up the walls you have to climb? We're in good shape. We have lots of movement tech. We have so many Draco charges that in many cases, we're just going to sail over parts of the level. 30XX actually made some adjustments for that sort of thing. I have enough health that I can just basically go up and over. And even with the knockback, I'm still saving time over, because that whole little corridor has moving walkways in it that go in opposite directions. So every so often you're like, all right, change directions. Or, now you're going to be sped up. Now you're going to be slowed down. And it's just nice to not have to worry about that sort of thing.
So there's two questions in chat. One I can immediately answer, and the other one I will push to you because it is at you. Someone's asking, what is 50XX? Is this not 20XX? This is 20XX, but this is 20XX and a 30XX run immediately back to back. So combining both into one big run, just a multi-game speed run. That's a really cool idea of a category that we've showcased multi-game speedruns like the Sonic 8 before here on Passion Project, so not unheard of. The second question is, do you have a favorite Nina build? You are typically a Nina main when you're not playing Draco.
Yeah, so, she's in 20XX, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it. It's been a while since I played her in this game. I can definitely
you've mostly
tell
stuck to
and
Draco.
indeed show you in 30XX. For her, it's probably actually not entirely dissimilar to 30XX. It's going to be using the Forculator. It's a really good medium point between damage and cover. Like Scatter Blast is also nice, but you have to get up in enemies' faces. It kind of turns you into a version of Ace. It's not quite what I meant to do, but it actually kind of made it work. Okay. So with this final boss here, it's possible to actually kind of skip some of these reversal sections it makes you do in between every time you do the boss damage. And if we use one of our Draco charges, as I failed to there, if you use the Draco charge at the right time, you can resist being knocked back. And then if you have enough character speed or enough Draco charges to dash into where the level is generating, you can potentially actually just clip through these parts of the level, sail along the bottom, and get to the next phase much faster. So that's what I was trying to do there. We'll have, I think, one more chance. So depending on how much damage I'm doing.
Someone else is also asking, is it possible to speedrun this game with no powers and with the, it's going to be the A saber for Ace, but Z saber only?
Oh, absolutely.
I believe there's a modifier that I think prevents you from using powers altogether.
Yes, there are a variety of modifiers. That is the defeat of the final boss, but now we have to do our classic escape. If you have enough health, you can actually burst through this door without using your little robo friend, but one, he's our friend, so we're going to take him along, and two, I have no confidence that I actually have enough power for that right now. It is very uncommon. It's basically like a severe DPS check. So instead, we brought him along. We're going to outrun this explosion, and then 20XX will be done. Yeah, there are a variety of challenge modifiers, much like games like Hades, if you're familiar. You can make it more like Mega Man, where spikes are instantly fatal instead of only doing 1 damage. You can make it so that you have a timer where if you don't make it to the end of the level before the timer, instead of getting a bonus for going fast, you get a debuff for going slow. And that's 20XX in about 24.5 minutes. Now we're going to swap over to 30XX.
Oh yeah, you are going to want to restart your screen share when you get 30XX open.
Good call. Thank you.
Also, GG on 20XX, because I know you've been practicing 30XX a ton. So seeing you back in the element of 20XX is really fun.
On. Like, some of the buttons for interacting with things are different, so the memory, the muscle memory is all out of sorts. All right, we've got that part rolling. We'll get the Discord share real quick.
Yeah, you get the other G when you're done. So singular G now. We'll get the other G in a couple minutes.
That is exactly
not a couple
as many
minutes, but like,
G's as I deserve.
Yes.
All right, so this is 30XX. Very much the same way here. You can see the standard, and in this game it's called Mega Mode rather than Defiant. So you can run this as a non-roguelite if that is what you prefer. You can also see the art style and everything about it is much more inspired by like Mega Man X4, 5, and then the Game Boy games like Mega Man 0, Mega Man ZX. We switched over to Nina, and we're going to use one of the meta progression items called the Environment Configurator to pick 2 levels that we want to show up early and banish 2 other levels to the latter half of the run. We're also going to use the pre-aug shop is now the Mysterious Trader, and she lets us pick items. We're using a special tool that lets us pick the 5 items we want. I will explain what those are about as we go. And here we go. All right, I did get one of the 2 levels that I want. Dally is back here and ready to give us one of 3 different items. Delta's here telling us to, if you want to, Amber.
A black wind calls out to you. It says, "Take a stupid risk. It'll be fun."
Yeah, so this game has a per level challenge system. It does still have glory zones like 20XX, but it also has Delta, who is part of the game's story, which is kind of a multiversal affair, who shows up and says, hey, if you want to make this level more difficult on yourself, I'll give you a reward either after defeating me or at the end of the level. And so what we picked up there is we agreed that every time we defeat an enemy, they're going to respawn a few seconds later. So this level's theme is now must keep moving. Very much, if anyone remembers Jurassic Park and Dr. Ian Malcolm, that's where we're at right now. Thankfully, no enemies followed us into this mini-boss fight. Levels do all now have mini-bosses, which also give us a choice of up to 1 of 3 augs when we finish. These are all really good. I'm going to go ahead and take Reboot. Reboot is a repro that, when it is charged, will fire out a laser. I'm also going to go into the gauntlet using the 20XX button to try to interact with the door. Great.
I have a feeling we're going to see a little more of that as we adjust into 30XX.
It's distinctly possible. Thankfully, I can put those muscles behind me and focus on running 30XX, since that's what I'll be doing for the next couple of runs.
That's some impressive flexibility.
Thank you. You do notice that partially charged shots pierce through enemies. It is getting really busy in here. I'm just gonna take some damage and get out of here. That's fine.
Oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen it get quite that claustrophobic there.
No, I don't usually take gauntlets on runs where I let enemies respawn, but this did turn out to be the Buster boss. Again, much like some of the later X bosses, the chip power-ups are protected by guardians, so when we defeat this guy, we'll get the Buster power-up. And because I had no Buster chips, it's granted me one, which is part of the light blue Vagrant set, which uses a 30XX exclusive mechanic called Corruption. You can see a light green bar has appeared above my head, and every time I hit enemies, it fills in a tiny little bit. So when Corruption is filling, you get a little bit faster. Because I have the arm piece, you'll see that eventually my shots, like there, change shape and color. And then what'll happen when Corruption fills all the way, and its decrease rate is actually based on how many pieces of the set you have. But when Corruption fills all the way, you are locked out of using any abilities that you don't have a Vagrant set piece for. This is the very safe lab in this game. Sorry, go right ahead.
I was gonna say, I see we have our very safe lab already.
Yes. So it actually, thanks to somebody in the Atari Staple Games /20XX, 30XX Discord, I learned that the left and right sides are actually categories of AUGs that you can take. The left side are what can be considered the spicier ones, the offensively based ones. I took one of the two Hysterias, which are really the, like, these make or break a run. I did not mean to re-roll those. Oh my goodness. All right. We still got powered up, but not in the way I expected to, because I'm pressing the wrong interact button. But Hysterias inflict significant debuffs. In this case, the one I took was that all incoming damage is triple. So the minimum damage I take from anything now is 30 instead of 10. But in exchange, every time I pick up an AUG, the things that aren't the like weapon chips but otherwise empower me, I get 2 of them. And because one of the items that I took in the pre-run shop is called the Prototype Resonator, instead of getting 2 of them, I get 3 of them. So if I pick up something that makes me go faster, I will instead pick up 3 somethings that make me go faster. And like that shot, so basically the crux of it, the other 3 items I took are things that let me essentially clear out a shot. They make it so that I can use an alternate currency gained by saying, hey, I don't want this AUG, scrap it instead, called very fittingly scrap. If you, like, as I'm over an item, if you see the different prompts, the Y button scrap something. It says, I don't want this, I'm not going to use it to power myself up. Instead, I'm going to take the secondary currency. So that scrap, if you have something called the Charisma Protocol of one of the upgrades, lets you trade in 4 items in shop at the rate of 15 nuts per piece of scrap. So between that and something I have called Shopaholic, I don't think I've ever gone through a door like that before when it wasn't open.
Huh.
Interesting. If you want to show that's never happened before, I think this would be an appropriate time.
Yeah, that's definitely never happened before.
Yeah, not as far as you've seen. But the devs are extremely willing and able to respond to bug requests. The 2 that I put in have been fixed within a patch or 2 each. But yeah, so the long and short is the combo that I use. 3 parts of it are what I've affectionately called the shoplifter combo, and the other 2 make it so that going into very safe labs is accessible because one will spawn in every level except 10 where there can't be one. At least I think so. And that the effects I get from the prototype augments are stronger than usual. Here is the trader. All right. And now, as you can see, when we trade things into her, we get more scrap than usual for them, including when we scrap things normally. So I'm able to do a bunch of deals with her in quick succession and power up a lot. I now have 3 buddies floating behind me. I think I picked up a gauntlet item, an armor upgrade.
I saw Oxjack at one point.
Okay, cool. Let's check real quick. Yes, I have head and shield of Oxjack, and I have at least the head resonator. So now I fire out a big Tri beam in front of me every so often. I've also picked up the 2 powers I need to make a combo weapon. There is a system, the Nina in particular in 30XX, can fuse 2 different powers together to make a new power. I also just made enemies do more damage. Isn't especially wise because I don't have any of my normal survivability upgrades. So I'm at the point where I could easily be killed in 2 to 3 hits, so let's not do that. Okay, hey look, our friend again. I'm not going to take her offer this time because she wants me to give away the Charisma Protocol, and if I do that, then I can't do any more shopping this run. So we're going to bid her adieu this time and move through Echo Cave. The music in both these games is really fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't like this soundtrack as much, but I've really come around on it. City Fires, who is active in the devs Discord, sometimes to answer questions, talk about the soundtrack, did a really amazing job. There's even those little variants. If you hear the music getting louder when we go to the mini bosses, those are technically variants of the song that have like more instruments and other different things going on. I'm gonna get even spicier. I'm now taking a power up / power down that reduces my maximum health after every level, but it also increases my power both with weapons and with power-ups after each level. So it'll help me keep the power curve as long as I don't explode myself beforehand. So, wish me luck, I guess.
Well, best of luck there.
Thank you. I saw the question in chat asking if I was going for the obliteration pulse, and no, that's kind of something that you really have to just luck across. That is a special combo weapon that costs 1,000 energy to use. Obviously, you have to either stack a bunch of items using hysterias. Like there are some things that will give you as much as 120 energy per pickup in exchange for other downgrades. So like if you got 1,000 energy raw, you could actually use it that way. You can also see we're now starting to outscale boss's health. I picked up another piece of the Vagrant set. I am going to take Freeze because I want it. We haven't done Highball yet. So in 20XX, there actually is a straight, very Mega Man-like boss weakness system in that if you use certain power weapons, which we didn't see any of us because we were using Draco, but like the minigun is good against the Dragon Boss turret. It does extra damage to him. I think it might actually like unsummon some of his fire block attacks.
I think that's right.
Yeah, something to that effect. Oh yeah, I didn't even explain what our combo power did. There's so much to talk about, and I'm just trying to go as fast as I can in the meantime. I don't know how some people do it. There might have been something down there, but I feel like I have enough to go on that I can just kind of pass it and come back. Not really come back, but like if I happen to have missed a very safe lab, it's okay. I'm doing all right, like power scaling wise for this level. That's another one of those split-second decisions you need to make as you go here. But yeah, so whereas 20XX actually has a distinct boss weakness system, 30XX really has it'll have some unusual interactions. Like in this level, the boss, Omega, yeah, some of the names are just amazing, can actually be frozen. And it does a small amount of damage. I'm going to take the triple armor bloom, which instead of giving me 60 armor, gives me 180 instead. So now I actually have some decent survivability. Despite the fact that I'm still taking 30 damage per hit, it means I can take, very much like in 20XX, you don't get knocked around if you have armor when you get hit. So I can take a couple of hits before I have to worry about knockback. Health pickups actually supersede weapon pickups. The blue ones, if you saw those, the kind of globe-shaped ones with the lightning bolt on them in the last game, those restored energy. And in this game, health pickups do both. That gives us some maximum HP, some maximum energy, and also some extra armor. Very good survivability enhancers. And stacking energy is actually quite important in most runs as Nina, if you're looking to account for all possibilities, because I'm using this movement power. The aiming gear plus the crushing void, the black hole, turns it into a kick that is very much like Draco's Vega Dash from the last game. So that's actually part of why I gravitated to this pickup for Nina when I started playing 30XX. The trader has just given us a bunch of cores, which we can use almost all of. Have we completed any sets? No, not yet. But I'm going to switch one out. I don't need to fly with some of the other movement options I have. This is Hoot Omega. We did get the quick kill, especially quick kill on him.
Yeah, that one was very fast. What?
I wasn't quite certain how high my power was. The long and short of it is that Food Omega is programmed to run away from you as soon as the boss fight starts, and it'll go to up to, I think, a total of 5, either 4 or 5 different positions as it goes through the battle, and you'll be forced to like jump through hurricanes, dodge lightning shots and all that. But if you freeze it, which it is possible to do at any point throughout the fight, I didn't take the right items for this. Oh well. I meant to do another level before this one. That's fine. So yeah, if you freeze Food Omega, oh, this is a slow starter. This is a particular setup for this where you have to wait with platforms going down that occasionally electrify. All right, we're through that area. We can keep moving. But yeah, if you freeze Food Omega in place, you can just kind of keep doing damage to it, and there isn't, unlike most enemies and bosses in particular, which have like a, hey, if you're pelting them with shots repeatedly, they'll take less damage or they won't get knocked back until their like internal timer has reset. With Food Omega and the freeze interaction, that doesn't happen. So you can just keep freezing it over and over as long as you have the energy. And then between my own power and the power of the reboot repro, it was basically just taken care of immediately. Alright, I'm gonna get more scrap. Every time I defeat a boss, I will now get 3 scrap, I think. Maybe 6, depending on how the interactions work. Yeah, because I re-rolled some items, I don't have any re-rolls to try for survivability stuff now. That's unfortunate, but what can you do? Some parts of playing are RNG and some parts are execution.
The boss is down there, Tree!
I ended up so far above the boss door that it had a good 4 or 5 seconds to denigrate me for ending up above where I intended to be. I'm glad to see a shop.
Not cool.
Not cool, bro. Ooh, I didn't have quite enough scrap. Okay, that's fine. I did earn more scrap for making that purchase. So what you saw there is you cannot mix currencies. You can only use scrap or nuts to complete a run or to complete a purchase. And because I didn't have a multiple of 15 enough to make those purchases, I couldn't buy anything other than the least expensive item in that shop. But anything you don't buy in one shop will show up in the next level. Or the next time there is a shop. I keep moving my hand over to try to hit splits on a live split that isn't open.
That's relatable.
I picked up a power-up that halves the damage output of that kick, which can be seen as unfortunate, but for levels 9 and 10 in particular, we're going to want to be able to use that kick as much as possible. And so in exchange for doing less damage with the kick, we have the ability to use it a lot more often. We have a pretty well-rounded build at this point. We got some speed-ups with, if you don't get any speed-ups in a run, your run speed is just really ponderous. Things like the Ox Jack, the 4-directional dash, that scales with your own character's move speed. So if you are slow, that is slow, and it won't get you as far or as fast as you want to go. So it's very good to have enough speed. I would love to have the Face Smasher. It's one of the strongest repros, but the not Brain Food Lunch is that much more powerful because it gives us additional max HP, survivability, and additional energy, which is utility for using our kick with more impunity. Nina regenerates energy very slowly natively. You get 1 energy every time you hit an enemy, and a little bit more when you defeat an enemy. And because I'm doing so much damage per shot, I'm not taking a whole lot of hits to defeat enemies, so I'm not getting a lot of energy back passively. So things like the Brain Food Lunch, which when you collect it, give you automatically maximum energy, are really nice to see. Trader, I'm now at the point where I can just kind of re-roll until I'm out of scrap. Yeah, pick some bonus odds. And I'm not even going to take the time to see what they were. I saw some very quick snapshots of a few of the items. One of them powered up the odds that I have. A few of them I think were cores, but when we're going at these speeds, no time to really look at it.
You actually meant to do this boss before the previous level, and that was for a specific combo weapon that would have gotten you the quick kill on the previous boss.
Yep, I'll put it together anyways because it's a very good AoE weapon. It takes the Zen Mortar, the Primal Primates. Damn, we should be able to outscale 100% extra health, which is wild, I know. If you had like level 1 boss having extra 100% health, you're looking at like a minute time loss easy. But at this point, do I have all 4 pieces of armor for it? I actually kind of want to take... No, I don't yet. Okay. I'm like, I kind of want to take environmental damage to see, because it looked like I didn't. But there are some armor pieces and cores that you can get that like give you an opportunity for just straight up damage negation. Your character will still say ow, but the damage number that appears above their head will be 0. So it's entirely possible I had one of those instead. Giving away some maximum health in exchange for more damage. Picking up something that when I am jumping or otherwise dashing makes me do more damage. You know, there are all sorts of little situational power-ups you can get. And when we're going this fast, you have to really have your wits about you to know, hey, I picked this up, or to assume, if you get going so fast that you're really not even stopping to look, hey, if I have this, I should probably approach this boss in this way to maximize my chances of doing damage. This is Legacy, the host of the Deepverse, the universe simulator that helped the people before the multiversal switchover decide what the next worlds might look like. Again, the story itself is very silly, but we're just going to try not to take hits to do 51 damage when we only have 500 health. And while this boss is typically meant to be attacked by doing damage to the little faces of Legacy that approach, the bars that it sends across, the little lit portions at the end of those are technically also hitboxes. So we do as much damage to those as we can as well. On to level 8 here, Water Grab. The home of Experiment 9, one of the other bots didn't quite work the way that the architects of this horror future were hoping. Supposed to be some sort of Hoot Omega actually was also specifically called out as an environmental control bot. And in the game's main story, there are variants of several levels. We didn't see any of those this time. They're based on like, hey, have this happen during a run. But if we got, well, now I have lots of armor. That's fine. I ended up giving away all 17 scrap I had in exchange for armor. So now I have, what is that?
650?
Yeah, 12 whole hits worth. It doesn't go as far as you'd think when you're agreeing to take enormous amounts of damage, but you can see I'm skipping glory zones, which are the platforming challenges. I'm skipping gauntlets, and I've always been skipping what are called concentration zones. I think that's what they're called. The like separate like little interstitial things. They have a door on either side of them, and then a blue little meditation zone in the middle. They're actually 3 quick waves of enemies, but those are always basically time neutral at best, so I never do them. We did pick up the System Restore, which actually neutralizes the negative effects of all of the very safe labs we visited along the way. So now I won't take nearly as much damage, which is nice. Usually you actually only see that the very end of either levels 9 or 10. So seeing it sooner is certainly welcome. Experiment 9 is a very annoying boss for casual play because, as you can see from the whole level is based on gravity control. If you go across a red strip, your gravity is inverted and you end up on the ceiling. If you go across a green strip, it'll change it back to normal. And Experiment 9 can change its gravity freely, meaning that in order to... Oh, look, I do have all 4 pieces of Hazard Guard now. So for these last couple of levels, I can just not worry about lasers, spikes. Lava pits will still cause me, and going into any endless voids would still cause me to be reset at the last piece of legal terrain that I hit. Hi, Kerr. He's back from 20XX.
He's back in 20XX?
He's back from 20XX.
Oh.
Now he's gone. Hi, Kerr.
Bye, Kerr.
Yeah, so that last boss, Experiment 9, it can flip up and down, it can attack you from the ceiling, and if you're not willing to go meet it on the ceiling, and you don't have good movement options, you basically just have to wait for it to come down and avoid all of its attacks in the meantime, which can get very frustrating, especially if you start using this game's modifiers, things like, hey, all enemies attack faster and move faster, or all bosses have, and you can do up to 4 ranks of plus 50% health at a time. So you can give a boss 200% additional health for a total of 300%. And then imagine trying to fight an enemy that flips around on the ceilings at that kind of rate. So what that all feeds into is actually a secondary system called entropy, which makes for great marathon submissions and incentives, but also feeds a secondary meta progression system. The bosses have been leaving behind these little blue crystals called Memoria, which is your primary meta progression, but there's also a secondary for challenging yourself with entropy runs called Titan Shards. And those allow you to enhance the things that you can do, like the amount of parting health, the number of times you can re-roll items, all of that even further. So we have all of that done. Meta progression is completely done. I've completed entropy runs up to, I think, entropy rank 25. It does go significantly higher. It can go to, I think, 37 or 40, something like that. If you set every toggle that enhances entropy all the way up, it actually just kind of goes all the way off the far side of the screen. You know, just some of the UI elements and choices in this game, like calling your 10-piece nut pickup the nut stack and the 25 the mega nut, are I would argue Spike Vegeta inspired, much as I have no idea if CK is a fan of speedrunning or you know, runners like Spike, but you know, in the spirit of making goofy jokes, I'm very much in favor of things like that and having your entropy level run off the far side of the screen. All right, this is Alexia, one of the two architects of this future, the people who are trying to find a multiverse worth saving. We are on Midgard, the World Serpent. I know, probably should have been Jormungandr. This isn't Norse mythology, as far as I know, so maybe that's how they're getting away with it. You know, since we're talking multiverses and new worlds, maybe the idea of having the world be the World Serpent is what they were going for. There are lots of people who are extremely invested in the story for this game and like trying to help the creators and producers tell it as cogently as possible, which is very admirable and kind of maybe a foolhardy task for a game about multiverses, but I respect their work and their passion all the same, and the devs are very up to it. Like, I think there's somebody literally writing like a, hey, here's my story Bible advice, and it sounds like there may be a story update at some point in the future. These are what's left of 20XX Ace and Nina. So Nina got pulled into the World Serpent by Ace. We didn't get a music transition to the final boss music because we went a little too fast. But yeah, Ace seems to have gotten the Sigma treatment, in that there was kind of only a 3D wireframe left of him. That and that evil version called Devotion's End. And because we didn't get the first music transition, we don't get the second music transition to the escape either. But now it is time to get the heck out of here. We retrace our steps along this last couple of corridors and use everything we have to get to the top of the part where we fell in just as quickly as possible, where our universe's Alexia is waiting for us in a getaway ship. And time is coming up as soon as the end screen shows up in 2, 1, time.
GG.
Thank you very much. Yes, as Dark Rune mentions, there are some intricacies to the entropy system. If you're interested in knowing more about the intricacies of it, some of it isn't explained super well in game. Head over to the Battery Staple Games Discord. You can find it on the speedrun.com page. I think it's just discord.gg/20xx. There's a lot of friendly people who can help you understand the systems better. But yeah, that's the 50xx. And sorry again for cutting you off.
No, you're good. That looks like it was a 52-16, roughly.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, about 26 minutes per, and then you take a little bit off for switching over. I'm very happy with that. I would have been happy with anything under an hour. And
yeah, that was very good.
As much as that isn't a verified speedrun.com leaderboard category, that is technically a world record, since no one's ever run this category before. So, you know, if you wanted one of those, here's one for free for you.
Yeah, if you were enjoying this, by the way, y'all should give Tree a follow. Tree doesn't stream too much, but
no, but I'm open to the idea. You know, I'd love to, if people are interested in seeing this or other games that I run. I also run the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and the game you'll see coming up later tonight after a few more 30xx runs. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to close out the game and use the tool that I used to get the seed ready to reset the pre-run shop. and then we'll go again.
Yeah, do you mind, we're gonna take a quick break, though, between runs.
What's that?
We're gonna take a quick break between runs, though?
Let's do it.
All right. So just to remind anyone that if you have missed out on any of our other Hotfix shows or past events like Flame Fatales, you should check out our VODs over on youtube.com/Games Done Quick. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break so that we can hydrate, stretch our legs, take care of ourselves, use the bathroom if you need to, all that good stuff. We'll be right back with more 30XX. So you just saw the Nina run. We're going to be showing you what the Ace run looks like, I believe. Is that right?
Very fast, very dangerous.
Okay. Very fast, very dangerous. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everyone, welcome back to episode 15 of Passion Project. Passion Project is almost what I said. We're the variety show that encourages everyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that they've been working on. If you do have a run that you'd like to see on the show, give me a ring, or I guess drop me a line in the submission form. If you use !passion in the chat, you'll get the link to my submission form, and you can follow that to give me your submission. Joining me tonight is a T-Tree. We just saw the 20XX and 30XX back-to-back run called 50XX. And now we're going to see a solo run of 30XX, but with a completely different character. So same kind of vibe of this is going to be the new Game Plus category, but we're going to be using Ace instead of Nina.
Yep. If you're a Zero fan, the Mega Man Zero games, ZX, Advent, all that stuff, you're going to be a lot more familiar with what you're seeing here. As I mentioned in the chat, Battery Staple Games does have a Discord for playing, finding other people to play 20XX and 30XX in online co-op with. Somebody came in with a question about, hey, this makes my game drop frames. They have tech support and bug reporting channels, so head on over there, take a look at the options, and you'll run into the devs. They're very responsive. There's like the level design dev, the head dev who does a lot of the bug reporting stuff, and I think also like the main musical artist. You'll run into a lot of them if you spend any time there. Yep, let's get ahead.
Before we get started, can I see your screen again?
Oh, yes. I meant to do that right away, and then you said we could take a break, and then all the rest of the thoughts left my brain.
No, that's relatable, honestly.
Yes, you and I have shared many parts of the ADHD brain having experience, whether it be, the fixation of running a game in a way that, for a long time, I never thought I was going to be a speedrunner. I've been watching GDQ and events like it for more than a decade. I've been helping out with GDQ. If you recognize my name or my voice, this is kind of the only channel on the internet where I expect that might happen, but it's because I host for Games Done Quick mainline events sometimes. And I became a speedrunner with the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game just over a year ago at this point. And it's, indulging that part of your brain that wants to really rip into a puzzle, a game that's engaging to you and optimize things, whether it's like, for my case, it's mostly been surprisingly high octane games, which is a weird choice for somebody who is in their mid-30s and only getting older, but the Twitch reflexes haven't failed me quite yet, so I'm glad for that. Yeah, we'll be going back into our standard roguelite mode. That is to say, there is run, failing, death if things go wrong. We're going to be switching over to our melee character Ace. You can see the A saber right in that left hand of his. We do not have, actually we do have one ranged option as Ace by default, which is throwing out the saber or firing it from the glove, but will mostly be up close, slicing, and dice. And because Ace plays differently, we're actually going to be using our environment configurator to pick out different levels to prioritize and reject. Make sure I have these right. I actually don't have notes up, I'm just going by feel, so if I get it wrong, I have only myself. And we're taking the same power-ups as last time, the ones that will let us use that scrap currency to buy things at a shop, get more benefit from things we buy in the shop, and then make the very safe labs, patent pending, copyright, offer not valid in all states, show up more often and give us bigger impact each time we pick one. So with that all said, again, the timer here starts as soon as we get control of Ace. I think I actually started the timer on the last category a little bit early. So when Ace hits ground after the first level starts, that's when the timer goes. So I'll try to call it out as close as I can.
Alrighty.
Let's go. And the timer starts. Jump up to Dally. Ooh, I'm not crazy with any of these. I actually will go ahead and take, so that's a boss power. It's something I could get normally, but the fact of having it early on, because Ace's powers, in addition to doing damage, whatever things they do, they're actually like his primary movement techniques, especially in a speedrunning capacity. You can skip some of the, like, I don't necessarily need to have the leg piece with the dash for him if I have some of the other pieces. So this Zen Ascent normally comes from the Zen Temple boss. And it is, you know, this uppercut upwards, like the thing that Draco uses. Exactly. So I have it immediately because I took it from Dally. So now when I finish that level, yeah, didn't quite get that. Yeah, that's literally just with 0 speed, I can't make that cycle. So I had to wait. I wanted to push it, but it doesn't always work out. So yeah. When I finish that boss, instead of having to take a boss power, like I don't think I'll get that option. I'll just be able to take an upgrade to one of my other powers or a little extra cash, something like that instead.
I'm very glad that crushers are not instant death in this game because
I mean, they can be if you want to set them that way.
No.
It's one of your choices.
I already have a big fear of getting crushed in video games thanks to Sonic 2's chemical plant zone as a child.
Understandable. That and the drowning music.
Yeah, both. Yeah. Drowning and crushers.
They traumatize more Sega fans than probably anything else, except maybe like 32X. I don't know. Is that a... What can I say? I was not a Genesis household.
I was a Genesis and NES household, actually. So I grew up with the best of both worlds.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go ahead and take the sale item. It'll put one item in the shop on sale every level, just in case we get to a situation where we're like we don't have enough scrap to buy something. If we can buy the item that's on sale, we can generate more scrap to buy more things with. Didn't quite make that. The bouncies in this level, the bounce pads, have a very odd interaction. They actually want you to jump on them slightly early to make things happen. We did already take what's called the Flaring Hysteria, which makes you take triple damage. So we saw that quite early in both runs. So the shooting enemies drone, I'm not going to say its full name because it's not really here or there. But instead of showing up at level 1, it showed up at level 3. This shop is one of the 2 different kinds of shops that has a 10% chance to show up. That was literally all cores. So let's see what I have now. I have 2 parts of Vagrants, the dash leg, and a couple of other random items. Okay, I can work with that. The dash leg in particular is nice to have at any part during a run, so now I have even more maneuverability as Ace. Unfortunately, without a whole lot of options, I'm not going to do a ton of damage to this boss, so we're not going to see any quick kills, except maybe in the daily challenge, but because I have... oh, no. Okay. The other piece I had, I thought I had the arm of the Vagrant set. I had the chest, which what that one does when corruption is full is it actually lets you run into enemies and you'll shoot out a little damaging pulse instead of taking damage on them. So if I had just kind of rubbed up against the boss's character model for a bit, that would have finished him off. But we got it taken care of. On to level 2 clock zone. You can see again as the like I described in the last run, as the corruption bar fills, you get like a stacking speed buff. The attacks you do more damage. I'm gonna take the safe option here. Safe being in very big scare quotes. What that did is it took away all my maximum health. So that number in green, my normal health, is now down to 10. Yeah. Instead, for every 10 points of health it took away, it gave me 20, but with the resonator, 30 points of armor. Fortunately, because I was busy describing things, I took a couple of hits from Delta there, and I'm now down to half of that, so we're right back into the danger zone. Like I said, Ace is a rather dangerous. I don't have the chest resonator. I have the chest piece that very much like in 20XX, if I had the power-up piece for it, it would make 50% of incoming damage just nullified, do 0 instead. But now I'm gonna have to look at, I wanted more damage, but I'm gonna take the Smuggler Attractor, and I'm actually gonna pass on that Gauntlet because that's the same one that spawns all the giant orbs, and I don't know if I have any hits to give. The Smuggler Attractor, which I just took, will make the Mysterious Trader Smuggler show up in every level somewhere. So very much like the Mysterious Labs, now the Trader will also show up in every level. I'm gonna make a few trades, but I'm gonna make sure not to give away the Charisma Protocol. Again, that would mean that all shopping for the run would basically be done. All right, we also got a shop. So this has been another 10% chance. This is the other thing that has a chance to show up, which is oops, all repros. So now we're in hashtag squad mode. We got all the friends coming along with us.
Yeah, we got an entire friend squad. This is great.
Right, so Clock Tower, the boss, is again, normally it's the kind where you want to defeat it one piece at a time. Because of how relatively silly this went, and because Ace's normal attacks with his Ace Saber have an AoE, I'm kind of trying to do 2 and 2 there. That was about the best I could do. So I took an extra hit or 2, not super ideal. We made it through. We still have 6 hits total between our health and our armor. Hazards do more damage, but we get the helmet. Sure, why not? Like I said, you know, Ace is a character that thrives off of, dang it, I dashed when I meant to. Some risk and reward. The riskier you make this play, the more things you'll have going on. I actually feel relatively comfortable taking the Gauntlet in this level because knowing that I had the Reflap at a level above 1, the little bat friend that's like a, what is it, a purple-red color, knowing that I have him trailing along behind me, at level 1, enemy flaps become non-hostile. At level 2 or above, enemy flaps will join you and become projectiles against other enemies. So he was giving me a relatively safe path through that gauntlet. This is the head piece. So having that, the one head I have picked up is not super relevant right now. It gives me health regen on kills. So I'm not using health, or at least I shouldn't be for a little bit. Hopefully I can get some more pickups. I haven't actually seen much in the way of AUGs recently. Nevertheless, so you'll see me going out of the way like, oh, I can't take that. That'll lower my max health down from 70 to 10, and I just don't have enough armor to give that away. So I scrapped it instead. There's actually something that you're quite passionate about this game that I just thought to mention, which is that this game has a lot of really good accessibility options.
It does.
Yes, you may notice that in the last game, I had to do a lot of like mashing buttons to make attacks come out. In this game, both the act of charging and the act of attack combos can be set to happen automatically. So the way I have it set now is my character will do all 3 attacks of their combo with 1 press of the button. And if I just wait long enough, it'll automatically charge up his attack. So there are things like that. There are also some like visual accessibility options, like the screen normally flashes white when you defeat a boss. I turned that off, both because I don't like it and because I didn't think anybody in chat would particularly love it if the screen just flashed white on, you know, their phone or their computer randomly. So there's lots of options of that nature. It's really like a nice step forward in accessibility.
Yeah, so the I remember when you were grinding 20XX a lot, because I'd watch your runs a lot in voice calls, but well,
sorry, you had to see all the flashy and all the other stuff.
No. I just remember how rough it was on your hands because
you're right.
Of
Yeah,
the mashing
very much like
that you had
Turtles.
to do.
I would have to take a break after a while. All right, now we've got the Helmet of the Vagrant set, which lets us use powers when our corruption is full. Until now, I actually didn't have either of my normal offensive options when that happened. To level 4. So, you know, it's not so different from 20XX. There's still the same, like, level types that you'll go through, even though there's now 8 unique ones instead of 4 that are each repeated twice. But again, as we described earlier on, similar to Yep, I'm doing it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take an additional 10 damage from anything that hits me and do 38% extra damage outgoing. So we're now in basically like 2-hit kill mode for us, which is, you know, not great, but I try not to think about it. But what I meant to say earlier was, you know, a lot of the parts of 20XX will still show up in very similar ways, but just kind of evolved so that you're not necessarily repeating the same stages within. I'm going to take a slight health hit here, or no, sorry, a slight damage hit to get more health. You saw my health numbers skyrocket there. I would prefer to have more armor. It'd be nice to not take knockback, but actually I have the chest piece that does that, so I need to be careful not to run into everything not cognizant of the fact that it's costing me health instead. But I am also getting life back every time I defeat an enemy, so we're in an okay balance here. I'm definitely still going net negative on most exchanges where enemies actually hit me, but I have a little bit of sustain that should do me for now. As you can see, I had to get right up in the face of that guy with his giant beam weapons, so you know, that's kind of the whole crux of the Ace run. He has a couple of ranged options, but by and large, you're staying high, you're getting right up in enemies' faces. He actually has a couple of augs that are specific just to him. Nina does as well, but you just don't tend to see them very often when running as her. But Aces do things like he attacks faster. His weapons have a higher base damage, which is then additively and multiplicatively increased by any pickups you have. Oh good, finally I have some extra move speed.
Imagine that. I was like, you're going pretty sluggish compared
Yep.
to, like, going from one run to the next, like, is such, there's a lot of whiplash there because, like, if you, for anyone who saw the end of the 50XX run and you saw how fast Nina was flying through levels 9 and 10 because of the high movement speed the tree had accumulated for her, and then you go back and to the start of this run and you just see how slow Ace was moving by comparison, it's massive whiplash. And I can't imagine like the kind of like adjustment that needs to happen, like both mentally and just like maybe like muscle like reactions as well.
You're not wrong. Very much like I described at the beginning of the 30XX run during the double. There was that one where I thought like, hey, maybe I can make this jump, and I was just wrong because I had no extra move speed, and because move speed is also tied to jump distance, there was nothing I could do about that. But technically, if I came at it from a different angle, the level designer says that his goal is to make it so that no jumps are truly unmakeable if you come at them from the right angle. But because we're speedrunners, we can't really afford to reposition ourselves, etc., the kind of stuff that you need to do to get another angle to make a jump with speed 0. So instead, we just get options that give us expanded move range and all sorts of things. Top shelf is really nice. Unfortunately, we're taking so much damage I might not get to use it very often. Basically, what that does is it toggles on and off on its own. Whenever my green number is full, I get increased damage. So I'm getting a lot of good peripheral pickups. I have decent traversal options, but unfortunately, because I've come into Penumbra in a later level of the game, I'd prefer to have seen it on like 3 or 4 maybe. Oh, by the way, that one, the one that says prevents all damage while holding nut, is called Blue Streak. It literally turns you into Sonic, in that when you get hit, all of your nut currency goes flying. And if you get hit when you have no, and if you get hit when you have no nuts, you are instantly killed.
That sounds like we should make our friend Arkic play it, because he's played this game. We should have him use that power up.
Yeah, probably.
He'll be right at home.
Yeah, unfortunately, since it doesn't really confer any like defeat enemies faster, we don't take it during the speed run, but it's very fun to see. You also occasionally get trades like that. It said, hey, give me the core, give me one of your orbital barriers, and also I will sell you one orbital barrier, but instead it gets multiplied to 3 because of my hysteria. So I got scrap back, and I got 2 additional friends that help block projectiles. A very... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, question from the chat. What controller are you using for this?
I am using an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. I haven't been super happy with their overall reliability. F and the feel is really good. I also like the trigger buttons on the back. I don't use them super often for this game. I'm not going to do that. We're late enough in the run. That Delta challenge was enemies have, like all enemies have double HP, and in a later level I could go around them. What he would give me in exchange is 3 rerolls, which are useful in like the safe laboratories. But at this point, we have enough going for us that I don't feel like I really need it. That and the fact that I would have had to fight him, which takes more time than it saves, in all likelihood. Not that I can say that with absolute certainty. You know, everything is like, hey, this would have been faster, but I only know that now that the run is over. The other reason I wanted to take the Zen Ascent power earlier is because when you're in High Vault, when you're going up these climbs or anywhere you have those little jump pads, if you use the uppercut when you're over a jump pad, you get an extra boost. And also, because I have this crash down power from the industry level, Dustria, I can go down this corridor much, much faster. Unfortunately, it's partially based on the level it's generated, but like some of those platforms, you can actually just keep punching down straight through. That's been one of my most recent discoveries, actually. I had, I'm kind of the main active runner for most categories of this game, although there are a few others. We're a growing community, but I feel like most of our players are still playing through the story of the game, getting in co-op time, all of which I completely understand. But knowing that power does what it does, I don't need enough. I don't need more armor at this point. If they give me that trade later, I'll take it, but yeah, no, it's fine. I was tempted at front. They said, give me all the scrap in your person and I'll give you an appropriate amount of armor. But I think we're in good enough shape between armor negation. We do have the test piece that enhances the Armathort power. So half the time we get hit, we take no damage. And, you know, between that and the little bit of armor we have and the decent amount of maximum health, I think we'll get by. We actually didn't see the other. There is a second Hysteria type power. If we had both, instead of getting 3 of each AUG, we'd be getting 5. But the other one makes it that anytime you take damage that would lower your maximum health or lower your current health versus your maximum health is also lowered to match. I'm going to take something that increases the amount of health I get from pickups, which actually also counts for armor, which is why I like it so much. The downside of that one was I can no longer get energy from pickups. But, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned this until now, I totally meant to earlier, Ace's energy is actually gained primarily through what's called style. If you see, when I start attacking enemies, a little thing show up under where the E-Tank and the powers are, with the A-Saber right there, that is his style. It stacks up to 25, and the more style you have, the faster Ace regenerates energy. That's
good
the
old
main
Dante
thing.
Devil May Cry.
Very much so. Yeah, if you're up in enemies' faces, if you're mixing it up, you know, we're not smoking sexy stylish. And apologies if I shouldn't say. I mean, that's what it says in the game. But still, I know we like to watch our language. Dante doesn't, but that's his prerogative. But yeah, style stacks and increases our energy regain rate. You also see that every time I trade in one of those useless garbage, I get 5 scrap back from the trader. So I got a couple of extra items with all the different multipliers and other things that I get. Trading in 1 5 scrap trash is actually worth like 20 or 25 scrap. So I was able to do 2 purchases and then trade in everything that was left for more armor. So now I'm in really good shape. I have hundreds of both armor and health. I can afford to be faster, to just kind of speed through the last couple of levels. You're going to see me start avoiding basically everything that's not another very safe lab or the things that I have to stop for. In this level, if you run into the chain of one of these hanging bombs, it will bar your progress. So I do have to worry about them. I did get turned upside down. Thankfully, I'm not in West Philadelphia. I mean, I might be in January. We'll see. Ooh, yes, I'm going to take
Philadelphia.
No, sorry, Pittsburgh. I guess I probably shouldn't be in Philadelphia, huh?
Yeah, I'd hope you're not if you're attending AGDQ.
I'm certainly considering it.
It's like, oops, wrong flight. I guess I might have like you sit there and turned into Bugs Bunny. You took the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
You put all my volunteer shifts on like Tuesday or later, right? I'll get there as soon as I can. It's fine. We had a world run earlier. Oh, I don't have any scrap right now. All right, I'll have to rely on getting scrap sometime in the next level and seeing if I can find a shop before the end of the run. Thank you, Producer Richard, for the correct information on where and when AGDQ is. Take a look in the chat if you are interested in that. Definitely hope to see you there. Ah, right. I never switched this one over. For whatever reason, every power that Ace has a default like button layout. And as you can see, when I pause, even if it's ever so briefly, there is kind of like a 9 section. You can like set it to one of the 3 primary buttons or those buttons plus up and down. And for the Thunder Call, the Raijin Call power up, I like a different one than its default. So I have to remember to go into the pause menu very briefly to change that up if I'm going to use it, which I meant to on that last boss, but I got a message that said, hey, you don't have a power on this button combination. What are you doing?
It's like, so I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they were right.
You're out in West Philadelphia instead of Pittsburgh. Like, you don't have your powers set to your button. Hi, Kerr. Bye, Kerr.
Look, you try focusing on like 2.5 things at once.
It's difficult. Like, as folks will see a bit later tonight, me running and talking is definitely an experience. If anyone has ever seen me run on another show or another special here on Hotfix, me talking and running at the same time is definitely an interesting experience because you get to see just where exactly my ADHD brain goes.
I'm like, hit stop. No, I don't have quite enough to turn on other. That's fine. I'm like, wait a second, I haven't checked my cores in like 4 levels. I can probably give myself more abilities to move around and stuff. Because I was thinking, you know, I don't have the boots augmenter, so I don't have like enhanced flight, but I do have the entire red set, which gives me a second dash. So I had more movement than I actually thought I did because I hadn't really stopped to do a check. And if you're ever considering speedrunning this game, and the way I'm moving and kind of the speed at which I'm doing everything is a little intimidating, don't be. Because the speedrun.com leaderboards for this game go off of in-game time, that timer down there in the bottom left, little offset in the center. So if you need to take the time to like take a minute to sneeze, take a minute to look at what things you just picked up from doing a trade, you can totally do that. Your run will still be completely valid. You know, even if the difference between your in-game time and your RTA is, you know, 5 minutes, that does not matter to the verifiers at all. All right, we're back to Eleanor, one of the other of the 2 architects. I didn't mention her at all last time. She's your boss refight for this game. You saw her kind of summoning the different elements around her before the fight started, and the fight is over.
Now she's dead even faster than when you were playing Nina.
It's true. Yeah, like I think what I can say, very much like 20XX, Ace runs tend to be riskier. But the overall speed, like the average speed of an Ace run, if everything goes right and you don't self-destruct, is going to be faster. He has really good movement tech based off of his boss weapons, and he does not suffer the same immunity period to additional damage like Nina does. You know, the Buster Shot, you can shoot out 3 or 4 or even 5 at a time depending on what power-ups that you have, but any beyond the first, there's like a waiting period you have to go through. The boss kind of takes like knockback frames, and until that happens, you can't do full damage again. Ace doesn't have that problem. So if you're able to get up and slice and dice in an enemy's face, you're good to go with that. So his DPS can be significantly higher. So that's the same. And then the other reason why we take the crash down power from the industry level is right here. Because I can just ride it all the way down to the bottom part of the World Serpent. And unfortunately, I didn't get the... basically, if you are done taking primary powers, or once you get further into the game will also offer you supplements to the powers that you already have. And one of the 2 for the crash down is, hey, the crash down now does 25% more damage, and it moves 100% faster. So if you want a completely optimal run, I managed a 19-minute flat run of this game like 2 days ago. You need the one called Astral Terminus because it makes that descent, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 seconds faster. So we're not quite talking Mike Tyson's Punch-Out levels of RNG, but very much like any roguelike game, getting the very fastest time possible depends on a lot of random occurrences going your way. Again, I'm sorry you didn't get to hear the special theme for the final boss or the escape, we'll probably get to on the next run after this, the daily challenge. Because what that is if any of these runs have been kind of too fast and too incomprehensible for you, we're going to start a run with no special power-up, with no extra like power-up combos, without the environment configurator. And we're going to run on the game's official leaderboard to see just how fast the time we can achieve. 3, 2, 1, time.
GG. That was an ace run.
Yeah.
2317 IGT though. I'm a little bit behind.
Wasn't even close to dying a lot several times. Definitely wasn't.
The beginning of the run wasn't sketchy at all.
And that's the nature of ace runs. You know,
Yeah.
I definitely had runs as ace just completely bail out because I end up with both of the hysterias and I take a bad hit. And now instead of having 70 health and 20 armor, I have like 40 health. And the next hit will not just kill me, but my auto tanks won't be able to restore me because I have no health left to give.
And that was a 2505.6. You were 0.1 second underestimate, according to the screen now.
Yeah, you know, the IGT versus RTA is a bit of a funny thing here because I want to take time to like go over to the pause menu and show you, hey, here's how this thing works. But in the interest of going as fast as possible, I really should. So I try to find when I'm just running to run to get the absolute lowest time possible. That PB I told you was a 19 minutes in game, but it was 19 minutes and 57 seconds real time. So it was a sub 20, both RTA and IGT. Whereas you can see a much larger difference between the two here, partially because I had to make sure to take power up so as to not die, but also partially because I wanted to show things off, explain more of the UI, and that kind of stuff. And I think there'll be more good opportunities to do that in the next round.
Yeah, we're going to take a very brief break before you get that run rolling. Just want to remind everyone that's watching right now that your subs, your Prime Gaming subs, your gift subs, and your bits cheered here on the GDQ Twitch channel do help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. So please consider subscribing if you enjoy our daily speedrunning content, because we've got lots of it. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. We're going to show you what the daily challenge looks like. And this is going to be a case where it's going to be a higher risk run, just because daily challenges you can only attempt once per day. If you fail it, you're not retrying it, so there won't be any runbacks here. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes, and make sure you stretch and get some water. We'll be right back. Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to episode 15 of Passion Project. I am joined once more by a T-Tree, and we just saw the 30XX Ace run, and those were all New Game Plus, and they were like, you know, semi-planned out. You get to, you know, use the environmental configurator where you can set 2 stages at the start and 2 stages at the end of the run that you really want to see. You get to come in with some power-ups, so you kind of get the ball rolling a little earlier than normal. But now we're going to be taking on the game's official daily challenge. T-Tree, why don't you tell the wonderful people in chat a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so if you go over to this section, brought to you by Delta, our good friend, he is happy to offer you a variety of different daily and weekly challenges. There are vanilla, which is basically as though you just went to the pad over here and started a run of the game without having access to any of these other features. Which is to say, instead of starting with 160 health and energy, I will start with half of that. That's default. There are also flavored challenges, which impose additional restrictions, but we won't be doing one of those today because I feel like I need to have literally 100% of my wits about me just to see what's going on there. Although, if you ever want a little sneak peek of what the weekly flavors are, you can probably ask in Battery Staples Discord. That's discord.gg/20xx. Before you get going. But yeah, you can also see here, this is the leaderboard. They have solo and co-op categories for everything. The other thing that you'll find, I'm basically going to throw this disclaimer out there in advance, is that the challenges tend to pull harder, what they call chunks, which are level segments. So you may see things that are more difficult, more enemy dense, more craft dense than in any of the runs you've seen so far. That in and of itself is a difficulty modifier, plus the fact that we'll be coming in with absolutely nothing but our base amount of health and our weapons. So if everyone is ready, I can go ahead and jump in. And again, time will start as soon as Nina's feet touch the ground.
All right, I am ready to go.
All right, 3, 2, 1, let's dance. We do also get a score counter because daily challenges timer start. Because daily challenges also give you a score based on how you do. You get points for defeating enemies. You get an efficiency bonus for not taking damage during the level. So a lot of people who run this game and like do these challenges actually do so specifically looking to maximize their score. So they will stick around in levels defeating every enemy possible, trying to make sure they don't take damage to get those efficiency bonuses. It's a very neat alternative way to run the game. Doesn't quite jive with what we do here on the GDQ channel, but I am endlessly fascinated. Like there's one player who does these challenges basically every day and week and is consistently very near the top of the board, especially for score, but often for both score and speed. So I think she uploads her runs to YouTube, so I should definitely stop by and take a watch sometime. You can see we're not getting safe labs. We're not necessarily getting nearly the same range of things. And I'm also only getting, right now at least, one of everything I pick up instead of augmenting the numbers by enormous amounts. So I am going to take a slight bump to my damage in exchange for having a lot more energy, in case I want to try to emulate some of the speedrun tactics I would otherwise do. We're seeing a much easier version of Penumbra since it's the first level we're coming across. Instead of having lots of those little Gatling guns mounted in the walls and on the ceilings firing across my path, it's basically just making this ascent. Oh, this is the way I do that little portion of the climb is almost kind of like a baseball player's habit of, you know, rubbing their lucky hat before the game, because there is a very occasional level chunk that I used to see very often when I first started, where when you got to the top of the climb, you would have a little alcove at the top, and you could only access the alcove if the little switch for the platforms was not set to red, which is the one that you typically need to use to get to the top. Went ahead and did one of our glory zones. I'm going to take the survivability option. Yeah, glory zones are short platforming challenges, whereas contemplation zones, which I might also do depending on how badly I feel we need it. Contemplation zones, which I mentioned near the beginning of the previous run, are 3 waves of enemies. They're actually, in casual play, a very good way to refill your health, because they tend to give you 20 to 30 health in between each wave. Can I afford anything? I have 9 nuts. No, I cannot.
As there's a number of like if you try to use those vending machines for health in this game, or even in 20xx's health and energy, there are some very silly messages when you are too poor, including you are too poor.
It's another very sassy piece of the game's flair. The one that it always hits the hardest emotionally is the one that says extreme poverty detected.
That one's probably my favorite, just because of like, it's just like, yep, no, you're not wrong.
You didn't need to tell me, but here we are. Yeah, so you can see Penumbra has more attacks. She just hasn't gotten many opportunities to use them over the last few fights. I really need to get her health down once it starts getting low, because she's just kind of gonna keep spamming black holes over and over. Thankfully, we kind of got into a lockstep there where she was throwing them up rather than where I was standing. Ooh, okay, it's actually...
It's giving you the combo.
Exactly, it's giving me the combo weapon I need, or would like. And I gave myself enough energy to at least start using it, so that's lovely to see. Absolutely not at all planned. You know, you can't play a daily challenge more than once. I have no knowledge of what this is going to look like beforehand, and no preparation for it either.
When does the daily challenge reset? What time zone is that based in? Because this daily challenge may only be available for another 40 minutes if they're Eastern.
A very good question, and I'm not certain. I suspect it works off of Pacific time. It might actually be somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Ooh, double jump, yes please. So yeah, the way the Glory Zone challenges in particular work is there are 3 different tiers of reward, as opposed to in 20XX where you just get it or don't. If you take no damage, you have your pick from 3 different rewards. If you take 1 or up to, I think, 3 damage, depending on, occasionally it's 2. I'm not giving away the iframe protector. Then you basically get these silver medals for the event, and you can pick either the first or second reward, but not the third. And if you take more damage, like 4 or 5, I'm actually going to do a contemplation for a little bit of extra protection and to take another AUG. This works the same way. You can see the bonus there. It says play safe, which basically means don't take damage. And so it says, for gold rank, take 2 damage or less. And so we'll see when we finish this. This is the I wouldn't really call this a cooldown run per se, because the stakes, all things considered, are actually arguably the highest of the 3 runs. But this is the run where I actually have time to explain things, rather than okay, the run is out of control now, and I'm just going to zip through the last 3 levels to the end. So I have my choice of these 3. Salvage isn't as useful now, so I'm actually going to lower my maximum health in exchange for more attack damage, because I have a little bit of armor. Because I'm not likely to find or take any very safe laboratory deals, having a lower maximum is less inadvisable. I still wouldn't recommend it if you're still playing casually. There are actually, in Mega Mode, as far as I understand, there are other things that you can turn on, additional assists that make play easier for you. I think you can kind of give yourself the invuln protector by default. You can make it so that things do less damage than the default amount. Again, with regard to accessibility features, we talked about kind of the visual ones earlier. They did a really good job following in the footsteps, both the guidance of their fans and backers, but also the footsteps of games like Hades, in making it so that this game is as accessible or as nail-bitingly difficult as you want it to be.
A couple of things really quick. The devs are actually in Seattle, as they showed off this game in their hometown of Seattle at PAX West.
Oh, nice.
So if anything, the daily challenge probably resets Pacific time.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure though. But they are based in Seattle. And someone is asking, this game is kind of a mix between Dead Cells and Mega Man. It's more like Mega Man X, and it leans it's not really a Metroidvania. But if you were referring to the Dead Cells roguelikeness or rogueliteness, then yes, it is basically a co-op enabled Mega Man X roguelite, if you wanted to boil it down.
In part that, I could also see them talking about the very high quality, high effort pixel art style. That seemed the presentation I could see fitting along with things that's a very good point of comparison Dead Cells is. Not like Hollow Knight so much. Hollow Knight's actually kind of a blend between 20 and 30XX in that it's the sharp high-res models plus the extremely detailed backgrounds. Yeah, why not? Strap is less useful. I could strap things and try to find the trader, but 1, I have very little way to guarantee that she shows up anywhere. And 2, I'm not gaining bonus scrap from the trades that I'm doing. So getting enough scrap to make multiple deals in a single transaction is very unlikely. So I'm not going to worry about that so much.
Yeah, the approaches to vanilla daily challenges compared to the New Game Plus speedruns is very, very different. It's a lot more deliberate, and you still have to make some split-second decisions. But
hey, look, I could take the prototype resonator.
Hey!
I'm going to take a jump height boost instead.
Yeah.
We have no guarantee that labs will actually show up. We're taking that as a very hey, I feel like being, I feel like putting a little hair on the chest of this run. but really having no idea if it's going to pay off or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kick is totally invulnerable while I'm doing it, but unfortunately, with the way these bosses attack, I put myself in danger of getting hit basically every time one of those kicks ended. So I'm almost out of armor now. Need to be a little careful. especially since I took what's called the Frail Glory. That's actually not just a UI element. Oh, there goes the rest of my armor. That little crown will fall off if I take damage while not being armored. And if I land in lava, it will be gone if it also lands in lava. So, whew, all right. Yeah, I'll give it away for scrap. Why not? Probably better. It'd be nice because it's a pretty healthy damage boost, both by virtue of the fact that I'm already out of armor. I don't want to have to run back and grab it repeatedly as I keep going. Boy, that's unfortunate. The sale item went from, hey, something I'd like to have, to something that's completely useless to me right now. The sale item is always the first one on the left, or depending on how many of those thrift items you have stacked, it'll be left. It'll go left to right across the most recent shop. So anything that you didn't buy in a previous shop that shows up again, that's unlikely to end up on sale.
Real quick in chat, someone was asking, where do I start with this game series? Would I start with the latest, or does it make sense to start with earlier? So basically, it's 20XX or 30XX. So you could start with either. I started 20XX before they were even out of early access, and I've also played. I played 30XX a little bit before they were out of, right before they were out of early access. They just recently came out with their 1.0 release back in August. So this game has been fully out and on Switch for about a month and some change.
It's been out for about a month. It's been on Switch for like 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, really?
And in some territories, it might actually still not be out on Switch. Nintendo gonna Nintendo.
But yeah, like it's been out of early access for about a month on PC for sure. But the game has been like in early access, taking feedback from players, and they're still taking feedback. So you will see like, you know, some balance changes, some bug fixes here and there throughout the game's active development from 1.0 onwards. That's where we're at right now. But 20XX is a complete package now. On PC, you do have to buy Draco and Hawk as DLC, but it's still otherwise a complete package, both on Switch and on PC. So like you can start anywhere. Someone's saying 30XX is basically better in every respect. I don't know how much I like. I love the pixel art, I love the music. I like the presentation of 30XX a lot more than 20XX, but I don't know, there's something about 20XX that still feels good to play. So like
that's
honestly,
ultimately going to come down to being your delineating factor. Does this
like it's
feel
a matter
good
of preference.
They do feel different, and you know it's not just that the numbers like in 30XX scale at a factor of 10, like 60 health instead of 6. You know, those mean different things because they're working on different scales. You know, having plus 2 move speed here feels very different than having plus 2 move speed in that game.
Yeah.
Yep. And the way things like interactions with ledges work are just fundamentally different between the two games. So, you know, if you want to get in, I would say, like, you know, if one of them goes on sale on the platform of choice and the other one doesn't, give it a try. If you like how it feels, you know, come back and get the other one later.
Yeah, and there's also something we said that you have like more characters available to you in 20XX and 30XX because that game is at its end of life in terms of active development.
Although one thing we didn't talk about in 20XX is a system called Revenants, which are essentially debuffed versions of all 4 of the characters. And sorry, take a quick moment of serious time. You can actually use these big gasoline jugs on the floor if you don't have the other items that like let you cause explosions to him, which is what he's weak to. So you can knock those around and do extra damage to him. But yeah, you know, it'll come down to like you'll find which one you like more. But you know, I've had a very good time with both. This game does feel a little more polished overall, and they are planning on adding more content. They are going to add, most likely, Revenant versions of the characters in for more challenge/differentiation runs. You know, I don't know if they'll work the same way as Revenant did in 20XX. That's very much still on the card. So, you know, like I keep mentioning their Discord, if you go there, they have a game feedback channel, and you can say, hey, I like this about the game. What if you know, change things to work this way? I feel like it'd be more fun if you spend less time doing this and more time doing that. You know, and they take all that stuff under advisement. I'm glad I touched the ground there. I technically took a short dip in the lava, I think, but because I also touched the ground next to it. But this is the mid-boss for this level, because we can't actually just completely blow it up this time. It's going to get over to its boss room. See if I defeat it before it gets going. Nope, it's going to get to do its attacks. That is unfortunate, because this is an annoying boss to avoid. Thankfully, it only got a few. I was worried for a moment. I've already gotten... No, I've got Charisma Protocol. I picked up Scrap Sleuth now. This, if I had taken the Very Safe Laboratory earlier, I think I might actually have most parts of the the pre-aug setup that I normally buy. Very silly. Oh boy, this is nasty. These are all elite versions of these snake enemies, so they do more damage. They also explode when they're defeated. There's a lot to avoid here.
Yeah. I will say, like going back on like 20XX versus 30XX, like I feel like while this does definitely have overall more polish, there are certain levels that I just really dislike. There's levels that I really dislike the design of overall in both. Like I really do not like levels 9 and 10 in 20XX, where you know it's your two Dr. Wowie, legally distinct Dr. Wowie levels.
Right, and your goal is basically to fly over them if you want to have a fast time.
Or a good time, honestly. Because like I feel like those levels dip a little too heavy into the bullet hell aspect, which I personally don't find particularly fun. I don't enjoy bullet hells all that much, but especially when your precision movement is not all there, or your movement options are limited. But there's a water grab in this game that I really vehemently do like.
Yeah, we've dashed through that level because it came up late during each of our last two runs, but we're going to have to take it head on this time. You're also going to see what kind of attacks all the bosses have, all of their like midpoint phases. You can also see that when Nina hits something, any additional strikes, like they'll still land, but they won't infer that that sting on enemies. And the numbers will go up very slowly after the first hit or two. She has that damage fall off unless you wait a short minute. So his mid phase is he summons these 4 Zen totems that protect him from damage while they are active.
The shields that are flowing. Sorry, someone's like, the game looks amazing. I will give it a try. The only thing I find a bit strange are these shields rotating around everything. But everything else looks amazing. That's the shield rotating around is just a that's a an
item pickup.
An item pickup.
It's an aug.
Yeah, it's an augment.
In many runs, you will not see those. We've seen them in every run tonight, which is kind of silly, but there we go. Finished on. Yeah, so what those are is if a projectile comes in and approaches you at that angle, it won't hit you. It'll bounce off instead. Oh, I like both of these, but I'll go ahead and take the mortar instead. The other thing that I could have taken was the remnant of the Echo Cave boss. And what that would mean is all projectiles I fire bounce off of surfaces at least one time. So like if I got that after I got the mortar and the evolved version that makes the mortar stick around for a while, then all of those little lava balls would also bounce.
Yeah, the weapon fusion system for Nina is actually really, really fun, and I think like is a very good change. There's a lot of very good changes from the previous entry in the series.
I agree.
Like there's a lot more you can do with augments, how they interact with each other. The fusion weapon system is great. Like in general, like I think both games are great. But I remember when you and I were playing right before they hit their 1.0 release, you weren't entirely sure how you felt about this game compared to 20XX.
You're right. My initial impressions were actually kind of negative.
Yeah.
And I still am a little ambivalent on parts of the game as you're building up the meta progression. I like being at this point where you can send runs with high risk, high rewards. You know, the runs where you're doing the whole run with +0 speed, you know, they're just not as much for me. You know, if you're somebody who doesn't necessarily play as many Twitch action games, I think you'll probably find a lot more to like about that.
Yeah, this game feels a lot slower.
We are getting chased around by the snake from the hit video game Snake.
Yeah.
Copyright Milton Bradley, I think. But what?
Hold on.
Maybe at least one home release. Please,
I always end up having to go to Google for at least one thing during every episode of this show. I
think
swear.
the original release wasn't, but it was probably just like a home project from someone. Ooh, that's a nice thing to get. That'll give me 1 additional move speed now and another additional move speed for each level I complete.
Snake, the first published by Nokia for monochrome phones. It was programmed in 1997 by Tonelli Armanto of Nokia and introduced on a Nokia 6110 or 6110.
A stalwart classic. Anyone of a certain age remembers Nokia phones, especially their little candy bar era phones, being virtually indestructible. You throw the phone at something, and whatever is being thrown at gets destroyed, not the phone.
No, actually, the Snake began with the 1976 arcade video game Blockade, developed and published by Gremlin. It was cloned as Bigfoot Bonkers the same year, and in 1977, Atari Incorporated released 2 Blockade-inspired titles.
Okay.
The arcade game Dominoes and Atari VCS game Surround. The first
now look up Gremlin for me. I feel like they're later known as somebody else. If you would, please.
Let me see. Gremlin, they were active from 1970 to 1983.
No, they're just one of those early pioneers. Okay.
They were acquired by Sega in 1978.
Interesting.
But their most notable games are things like Blockade and Head On, as well as being the North American distributors for Frogger and Zaxxon. And the company's name was subsequently changed to Sega Electronics in 1982 before operations were closed in 1983.
If you enjoyed learning things here with us, follow the Games Done Quick channel and tune in every other Wednesday evening for Passion Project. You will probably learn many more things of that nature.
Yeah, something's going to prompt me to Google things, and we'll start going on a deep dive.
Yep. I don't want to interrupt the music here, but I'm inclined to do. My comedic sensibilities want me to do the more you know jingle. You can just imagine it if you are the right age to know what that is. And if not, well, I hope you're enjoying. Oh God, that's one of those things that was like a cultural institution for comedy writers of a certain age. So it showed up, and oh, by the way, this is Water Grab, that level that Amber doesn't like very much.
I hate this level so much. I just do not like this gravity water nonsense. It's like I already like, aside from like things like V6 or VVV, like I enjoyed that gravity flipping mechanic, but then like you combine it with water stages, and I'm just like, nobody ever makes a good water stage. Like, come on.
Oh. Maybe they tried to do it by like, hey, not the whole thing is water. You don't have to deal with water the whole way through. But since we're on a later variant of it, all these bombs also have these exploding blades that come out from their bosses when they're defeated. So that's not great. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, the chains that keep you from progressing if you run into those instead of the enemy. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were saying. The fact that it's not all water is not great because
I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna say I've already forgotten my train of thought. It's like Aquatic Ruin or like, other various water stages in like the Sonic series where it's like, hey, it's not all water outside of Labyrinth Zone, and it's like, yeah, but like your water sections still suck.
Not wrong.
Freedom Planet 2 has good water stages. I played Freedom Planet 2 through once, and I need to remember what that water stage was. It was a fun game. I didn't enjoy the combat very much, but like I enjoyed the platforming a ton.
It definitely takes some time to wrap your head around. Hey, look, it's an upside down trader.
Hey.
Nope. Still not giving away the invulnerability frame extender though. I'm going to need that in levels 9 and 10. Upside down beached fish. I feel for them. But also they're like robots, so how much is it really? Mood. Every time I wake up, I feel like an upside down beach fish.
I was on a call this morning with a friend doing showing their cats on camera, and one of their cats has gained a lot of weight, and I was like, oh my goodness, Alfie's gained so much weight, and it's like, yeah, he was trying to like give himself a bath, and he was like laying on his side trying to like lick the side of his body, and he looked like a beach whale. But like there was a point where his butt was towards the camera, and I was like, he looks like a raw chicken. Like, you know, when cats like half float and their hind legs are like, you know, next to them.
Yeah, they do the chicken leg.
Yeah, they do the chicken, like, looking like a raw chicken. Don't mind me, I like cats.
You know, if I had been wise, I would have practiced this boss specifically, because this is
one's
definitely
annoying.
the most active individual boss. And like the phase transitions involve the most, like it summons things, it goes to the ceiling. Once it gets below a certain amount of health, it starts jumping back and forth between the ceiling and the ground repeatedly. Like, these shurikens can technically be damaged to be destroyed, but I don't have good AoE coverage right now, so I just can't really do that. Not practical. The mortar is probably my best ranged option, aside from getting to the right height to use the buster. Unfortunately, I don't have any bonus attack damage right now, so it's doing pretty piddly damage. You can see. Try to slide into him and not take damage. Unfortunately, that didn't work either time I tried it. It did do damage, but I also took some myself, which is not great to see. Okay. Any questions from the chat we can help with?
Sorry, I'm just watching how aggravating this boss is.
Yeah,
Someone
you're not
says
wrong.
this boss is the bane of my existence, and it's like, yeah, no, that it looks like it. I'm being reminded of our co-op playthrough right before this hit 1.0.
There we go.
Where like the way we got through those the bosses and a lot of the stages was I was ace and I would just face tank things, eventually
Yeah.
inevitably die because I was face tanking things so that you could
True.
actually finish off the boss. Because you're a lot better at the Twitch platforming than I am.
And in that case, avoiding his attacks.
Yeah. And it's like, look, I just do big damage when I'm in his face. Just don't even bother. The nice thing about co-op, actually, because this is the whole idea of like the games that we're showing tonight, is that they actually are indie games with co-op functionality, and I think it's great. The great thing about co-op is if your co-op partner dies, as long as one player is still alive, the run continues, and you can actually pick up. Like, you'll eventually come to a point where there's like a rescue capsule that has your friend in it. So you can rescue them. They start with a small portion of their health, and then, like, you know, you're able to continue the run together from there. But just because one player dies, it's not over yet. Like, it's thankfully not a case of that. The game that's going to be coming up after this run, if one player dies, both players are basically dead.
True. Would you believe I just remembered for the first time in about 10 minutes that I took the double jump very early on? So that's nice.
I would fully believe that.
At least I can get through the climb section much faster. Oh, these are all really good. Bonus damage. The less time I have to spend fighting bosses, the better.
Exactly. It's like, more armor is great, but then you're still spending the same amount of time fighting the bosses, so...
Oh, and it does enable certain combinations, like the, you know, if you have armor, it each 10 armor you have makes you do 3% more damage, stacking up to 30%. But you can't account for those sorts of things in a challenge run.
Yeah, this looks very different from your New Game Plus speedruns. Like, there's a lot more hesitation, there's a lot more deliberation, and like a slower, deliberate movement in general, just to like have the survivability that you need to get through these without like knowing like, oh, I can definitely buy literally everything at the shop, or I'm definitely gonna get these combo weapons I really, really want. You're not gonna outscale boss's health with your damage at all during one of these unless you get a really good run.
Yeah, and it's also distinctly possible we'll find out in a level or two, like with the final boss. Oh, I just didn't get enough power-ups. I skipped too many. As I did skip a couple of the power-up zones throughout the levels, and maybe I'm just not powerful enough to take down the boss in any reasonable time frame. It's a lot of additional layers of complexity.
Yeah.
We're also seeing more elite level variants. Those flaps, the bat-like enemies, the white and red ones will actually change their trajectory if they see you firing a shot at them. Greater. Yes. Oh boy, there comes some enemies. and that one will loop back around if it gets the chance. So I had to make a little bit of movement in between each time I paused to do some trades. The little things you don't account for are always the most fun to either reflect back on later. I won't say the most fun to deal with, because really who enjoys the sudden heart attack, but to reflect back on later, to show other people. I'm glad I got the opportunity to show that funny little micro moment there. All right, so now we're actually gonna get to see Hoot Omega. Yeah, you can see like it has a shield up until a millisecond before it dashes away. And that time I didn't get to attack it any. You're also seeing that it rains down the little lightning bolts that you've seen in the mid-boss climb, and it is able to summon hurricanes as you progress, which you're trying to basically move around or in front of, depending on how you go. It's also at a very aggravating height.
Yeah, it's at like just the right height just to make you mad.
Mm-hmm.
So like I really have to dance between these two platforms, huh? While dodging the lightning bolts and all the other nonsense coming at me.
Yeah, that's the nature of pulling this level on a later part of the run. It's going to find a way to throw more complexity at you. Okay. See if we can fry this chicken. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage. Thankfully I do... No, I don't have an E-Tank. This is the daily challenge. Oh boy, if I take another hit, this run is over.
I didn't know we were having a surprise appearance on of Mercy Kill.
Oh, the blocker.
Oh god, okay.
Okay, moved on to the final segment. That means the lightning is picked up to its utmost also. Okay.
No!
It got me. I was pressing the button to try to dash across, but it got me.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
That's okay. That was very intense. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I let my presence of mind slip a little bit and took 2 hits when I didn't need to. And
yeah.
I called it.
It happens. Like that's what happens with runs like this. And also what I said before we went into this, it is a higher risk run because there are no redos for daily challenges. Very well played though. Do you have any shout outs regarding the 20XX and 30XX community before we move to a break so we can get ready for some Rikki and Vikki?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. I think I might still have it in my clipboard. Head over to the Battery Staple Games or the 20XX and 30XX Discord at discord.gg/20XX. If you want to get more involved, it's also the main place to coordinate multiplayer games with non-local friends. If you want to meet new people, play games with them, if you want to get more tips for how to not have your daily challenge runs end like this. But it's still a lot of fun. I'm glad I got more time to explain the mechanics of the game and really show them off in a more intelligible way, even if I didn't get to finish the run out for everybody. But yeah, coming up next will be the co-op game Rikki and Vikki, run by myself and your showrunner Amber Cyprin. So short break, and we'll be right back for some very silly co-op action.
Oh yeah, and thank you all so much for watching up to this point. Stick around, as Tree said. I'll be joining them for a co-op run, and if you want to see more something a little more retro, a little like farther back than Mega Man X, we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 15 of Passion Project, the variety show that encourages everyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that they've been working on. That includes me, Amber Cyprin. I am your host tonight, and I am joined by a T-Tree. I don't know where on the screen you are, so I'm going to point in random directions, and hopefully I've got it right. But we're going to be playing a co-op game called Rikki and Vikki. This is a Atari 7800 title that was released, I believe, in 2018.
Yes.
And it is by Penguinnet Games or Penguinnet. and it's like if you can buy this on Steam, use Steam Remote Play Together or Parsec like we are today, and you're able to control Rikki and Vikki, two foxes who were going to settle down for sleep until their kids were kidnapped by Misery the Inconvenient, or the Misery Dragon. And we'll get a little more into the story and everything as we get into the run. But without any further ado, get your best fox emotes ready, and we'll count down as soon as we select Rikki and Vikki. That is when timer starts.
Would you do the honors, Amber?
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep, just like they said, it was a quiet night until it wasn't. But we have the option to skip. We have the option to skip the opening, so we're going to get chastised, but get off into the run a little bit faster.
Yep, and then we're gonna have time here at the start of the run, so we can. This game has an interesting mechanic for an Atari 7800 game. Because it was made in 2018 or released in 2018, it does have an accessibility feature. If you game over, of a sort, if you game over twice in a row. Which is what we're doing right now. If you watch our timer at the top middle of the screen, you'll notice it's going down really fast. We are holding what we call the abort button, because this game is a puzzle co-op platformer where sometimes levels get into unsolvable states. When that happens, there's nothing else to do other than like run into a hazard and die, or run your timer down until it hits 0.
Look at that, a second game over in a row for me in what, less than 10 minutes? That's terrible.
So when you game over twice in a row, you get introduced to a resident of Misery Land, which is where we're gonna be solving all our puzzles and everything, progressing.
A theme park at the center of the earth, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
from the
that's
brochure.
Been running. Yeah, it's been running for 13 billion years, owned and run by Misery, the Misery Dragon, the Demon Lord of Inconvenience. So he's very proficient at his job. There he is right now. So we're gonna meet a how do you even start to introduce
boy named Dud.
Very round boy. His name is Dud. And he's going to say, "Have we met before?" We're gonna say yes, because otherwise he'll talk at us for longer. He's gonna introduce us to a system called Direct Deposit, where in exchange for us not earning any score, because there are leaderboards in this game, like local leaderboards, not global, for your score, you get infinite lives. You can now see our little fox life counter at the top is infinite instead of counting down from 3. Now let's get into how you actually progress in each game, or each level. So you have to collect all of the keys, which you can see how many keys are in level in the top middle right. You collect all the keys, you can progress. There is no health in this game. You just die.
What? Oops, sorry.
You just die like that if your
Very
partner
well
crushes
timed.
you with a box, or if you run into an enemy or hazard like spikes, lava, etc.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to cause my momentum such that I could drop down, but because you're working against an active current, the timing is a little bit fiddly. You also have to work with the employees of Misery Park. You can get around them, or you can take your box-like objects and get them out of the way permanently. That one's yours. I'm supposed to get the other key. Thank you.
Yes, please. So Tree plays as Rikki, the fox in the blue nightcap and house slippers, and I play as Vikki with the cool hair and red sweater. Vicky's hair is cool. Get at me.
And Rikki may or may not have Link-inspired jammies. It's hard to say. I would say the little
Santa.
ball on the nightcap. Yeah, true. I would say the little ball in the nightcap doesn't, makes him legally distinct from the hero of time. But who can say? You want to grab that box?
I kind of need to grab this box. Okay.
Yes, please.
Throw it at me. All right. So I'm also under a little bit of input latency, as you can see, because we're using Parsec here. So we're gonna wait for box-like objects to fall. So a box-like object. If I can.
A box-like object has the tendency to slide if not thrown directly at the middle of a square, as you are seeing now. Fortunately, while the throw is easier here, the jump is much harder in that regard.
Yeah.
You do have about 4 seconds to try to reposition things before boxes start falling, but the much easier one is, like just there, like Vikki pulled it off.
There we go. So this is an example of a stage not going very well because normally Tree and I run this without anyone streaming and without
right.
Anything like that. Like I may be on a wired connection, Tree is not, and Tree is the host here on Parsec. And there's a reason for that. Yeah, yes. There is a reason why we have Tree hosting. There are some there are puzzles that separate Rikki and Vikki from each other, and they cannot join up. So they have dedicated halves of puzzles. I did a boo-boo. I accidentally let go of the button. There we go.
Yeah. Hoist me up, please. Question in chat. Is the game different in the Rikki and Vikki alone modes? You want to take that one, Amber?
Okay, so I've actually done a full playthrough. I've done a full playthrough of this game as solo Vikki. There is no difference between Rikki solo and Vikki solo other than like who you are and like the victory jingle whenever you hit a boss. Sorry, I had to concentrate to make sure I got that jump right.
For sure.
But the levels are entirely different because there's new mechanics, because you can't do a lot of the levels solo in co-op. So, and also like your bosses are no.
Yeah, you made that considerably more difficult on yourself than it needed to be.
Yes, I did.
But so
I don't even need to move. I don't even need to move when I do that jump at all. I just do this and I'm fine.
It took us a surprisingly long time to find out that you could do that rather than jumping over the boss in the corners.
Yep. We found that out because I had a bad habit of going in the corners, and I was like, you know what? I just want to test. Like, does this work? And the answer is yes, it does. So my bad habit was unintentionally a good habit.
There you go. Sometimes speedrunning is just like that. As you notice, each time the boss here, the drill bat pops up, it focuses a different one of us first. So we're basically like, as we try to remember to do everything else to execute, we're like, all right, which one of us is it going to throw one of these pickaxes at first?
Gonna wait there. So there we go.
I also had to make sure to hold, to wait and not pick up that box early, because if you pick up the box before Drillbat repositions himself over Rikki, he will instead move towards Vikki immediately, move out of range of having the box thrown at him, all sorts of nasty stuff.
Yep. So
now down to the next game.
Yeah, every midpoint between worlds, Duck comes back. And if you hadn't taken direct deposit at this point or anything like that, he would introduce himself, where once again you want to say yes, we have met before. But when you have infinite lives already, he will sit there and just give you a hint about how to progress in the next world. Very subtle nudge in the right direction.
Box down.
Then
box up. Box down.
If you already don't have infinite lives, or if you don't already have infinite lives, he'll sell you credits in exchange for points. Credits or lives. But we're in World 2. This is Sand Cavern. And for a while, this was my least favorite
Don't
world.
throw yet.
Because it introduces this darkness mechanic where you don't have a whole lot to go off of, because it introduces boxes on switches which control gates and control the lights in the world, where your only real indicators of where you are on the stage are the hieroglyphs, the enemies, the various objects that don't go dark, as Rikki unfortunately does not turn in time to block that projectile. Boxes block projectiles, by the way. And that scarab enemy is unique to this world.
Ooh, that's bad.
That's
okay,
fine.
You were holding the box. You're fine.
I'm a trained professional.
Big if true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of this world comes down to knowing the shape of the levels, knowing the timer or the cycles you need to be on to ensure the fastest movement, and knowing your backups in case those things don't work. Like this level, Vikki's movements need to be absolutely perfect to secure the fastest cycle.
And unfortunately, under Parsec, that's not happening while we're both streaming. There is
Go ahead and throw right about now, I would say. You get one more try. That should still work, I think. Again, like we mentioned earlier, boxes take about 4 seconds to fall. Ideally, that would have fallen on top of that scarab and he would have kicked it away immediately. but because it's out in front of him, he'll now kick it away as he comes through it.
Yeah, so the way the scarabs work, and you learn it very, very strongly in this stage, is if a box falls on top of its hit box, the scarab will
Sorry, did you say something about getting hit?
Yeah, the box will, if the box hits the hit box when it drops down on top of the scarab will throw the box in the direction the scarab is traveling, right? But if it falls in front of the hitbox, like doesn't make contact with it from the top, the scarab will, I'm just going to do a safe one.
Yeah.
The scarab will throw the box in the opposite direction, or the direction opposite from where it's traveling. That might actually be a little too early. That is definitely
you're
way
right.
too early.
Wow.
So it's going to throw it at me.
Darn.
So we're going to, but that's a good demonstration of how the scarab works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to wait for him to get, there we go. That should be about the right time. Of all the stages in Sand Cavern, this one probably bamboozles me the most because movement either has to be perfect for me to get the fastest cycle possible, or I need to get the timing on the throw down to the scarab right. Please don't take a hit. Thank you.
I made sure I waited and baited out an extra attack from the statue. Go right, please.
Yes. We're still
we used to do this. Yeah, we used to do this in the opposite order, so. There we go.
No, tree.
One too few.
I was holding right. You just dropped down. I just didn't get under the gate. It zipped.
I got ahead of myself.
Yeah. All right, now.
Visual confirmation. Ain't it a thing? Yeah, all I have to do at that point, once I made sure that Vikki can proceed, is wait until the scarab turns around and then immediately throw the box down to it.
Not doing the infinite lives thing is not its own category now. So, like,
and it's also hard to tell whether it's faster, honestly. Oh, boy.
Fudge.
Yeah, probably for the best. Technically, only the box is supposed to go down there. As you're noticing, the level actually wraps around, so Vikki can throw something off the bottom of the stage and have it show up back at the top.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. So
no, we're going to take a reset. No, we're going to take the reset. Let's go.
Yeah, it's way faster
than waiting for the scarab to get all the way back over. All right, one more again.
There we go. That's what's supposed to happen.
And the comment, what?
What?
I've never seen that happen. I don't know.
Were you not holding?
I thought I was.
All right.
Oh no.
So this is what happens when you put this in a situation where we're not local to each other. Well, Tree and I are local to each other, but it's like, a 2-hour drive north for me.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. But yes, the extra parsec latency makes this run a little bit spicier than usual.
Yeah, so we do have the world record in this category, I swear.
The long and short to answer your question, Twimini, is that the time that Dut spends selling you credits, unless you take absolutely none of them and take no deaths, actually kind of balances out the time you save from not having to do the 2 minutes at the front. You save a lot less time than you'd think, as far as I can tell. Not that we've really tested it out that way. We did do a run when we were testing out our parsec latency where we actually didn't take the infinite and just bought lives. But, I think we found that overall, not doing infinite, but also buying lives, because he gets like an extra line saying, how many credits would you like, Rikki? And how many credits would you like, Vikki? Enjoy for each of you. And that takes a lot of extra time. Want to tell us about the ghost cats?
Yeah, this level introduced ghost kittens. I need to get in position.
Yep, that one's me.
So these cats move relative to like the player. So we try to make sure we're moving and doing things in the same positions and orders as possible, so that we have a predictable cycle on all those ghost kittens. Thank you.
That's a backup strat right there.
All right, there we go. So I'm gonna grab this box.
Don't forget to do the I'm gonna don't forget to do the thing
enemies
before dropping back down.
And then we're gonna throw the box over. That's chugging a little bit for me. There we go.
Oh no. Okay. We'll take it nice and slow then.
There we go.
Go ahead and jump up. And
yeah, there we go. That should be fine.
Yeah. So throwing the box confers more acceleration to it, and while Vikki could have potentially hit her head on the spikes, if the last key in the level is grabbed before somebody goes into what would otherwise be a fatal situation, the level is 1 instead.
It dropped my input.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem. Oh, dear. So this is a very consistent setup if you do this boss right, even more consistent than the last one, but it does require relatively precise timing and locations. This boss is a lights on and off puzzle. The different, you'll see 3 versions of Lady Anubis, and only one of them is the real one. So you either need to turn the lights on or off to make sure you can hit.
Tokyo Drift foxes and boxes.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't describe that. When you're holding a box, you slide around because you're carrying something with a lot of weight to it. So
throw the box, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I had to press that button twice.
Gotcha.
All right.
And that's
thankfully, we got
cavern.
the second go around.
I like that it shows you points and clears out your time, which would normally confer more points, but your score doesn't actually increment. It's just with a ticket counter in his basement in Miseryland, watching the points tally up on his end.
Say, I've received your points.
Well, I'll let you go. If you have any suggestions for what kind of voice that should have, we'd enjoy hearing them. We both just kind of settled on that one, the gentle giant thing, but...
Oh, wait, no, Yep.
I'm an umpty. You made that a little bit more difficult than yourself than it needed to be.
I sure did. All right, this is Flame Cavern, where the whole gimmick is lava, basically. All right, you need that box with you.
I do. I thought I pressed the button. It just didn't come with me.
So this stage, while the mechanic is always available to you, it's there we go.
Please.
Oh,
Nope.
Whoops, a little fast.
A little too fast. And hold. Now switch.
Yep. While the mechanic is always available to you, to where you can jump while holding, or while you can hold. How do I describe this? You can press the button to pick up your interact button to pick up the box, right? While you're jumping off of it, so you take it up with you, but still get the full height of your jump.
Yeah, you can basically alley-oop to yourself, as it were.
Oh, I thought I didn't make it.
That was an interesting choice.
Yeah, no. I didn't think.
I see.
I struggled to get up there.
You thought you were falling back down.
Yeah. So I saw you walking away. I was like, "Why are you walking away? Come back!" There we go.
Okay, you have a suggestion the Dutch should sound like Gilbert Gottfried, and that's the only time I'm going to be doing that impression.
Yeah, please,
I'm
never
sure
again.
It would do. I'm sure it would do horrible things to my voice.
And also to my ears.
Wow.
Jeez. It's a very shrill voice.
No, that's fair. It's supposed to be.
All right, let me yoink.
Thank you. This is the level that introduces you to the concept of box stacking. You can throw boxes down a hole, and as long as they land on a valid box below them, they will form. Essentially, you're making a vertical platform, a bridge, out of throwing boxes around in a circle.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna wait.
Yep. 3, 2, 1, jump.
Cool. There we go. This cavern starts to be the one that's like, hey, let's start asking a little more of the player. And like some of that asking a little more of the player is optional. Like I had started mentioning, the picking up boxes as you jump off of them is a mechanic that's always available to you, but like not necessary to clear the game at this point. It becomes necessary fairly soon, but not necessarily in this cavern. It gets faster if you know how to do that at this point in the game.
Right.
We haven't talked about Picky yet. Picky here is Miseryland's probably most miserable NPC. He picks things up, walks over to the other edge, puts them down, and we're actually going to utilize him to activate this switch in a moment. I'm going to make sure that he is far enough away.
Good
I
call.
can do this, create the bridge for myself.
Give you
Fall
the
down
extra thing
here.
to step out onto. Yep.
There we go. And now we're going to wait for Picky to pick things back up and put them back down. Lets us open this gate. I jump up here and grab the last key.
And the Walmart-esque vest is a good touch.
Oh yeah, the Walmart vest is definitely probably been deliberate there.
Yeah, I suspect it might speak to the creator's real life experiences or something of that nature.
All right, so now Tree needs to go wait for Picky to pick up the box, put it down, grab the gold key, and then we're gonna wait until Picky turns around.
The fastest cycle involves throwing the box right at his face, because Vicky's already in position to drop down to the top of the screen and grab it. For the rest of our firefighting, I will put out the fires here. I remember which level this is.
Yep, please.
Forgetting to do this is a soft lock. You will be in big trouble in the level later, so.
Yeah, so we used to do this level a completely different way. That box in the bottom right that you might be thinking, oh, how do I get to that? It's a red herring. You don't need it. You can use it, but like you don't need it. So I'm gonna give myself a.
Just the one is all you really needed.
No, I wasn't trying to do multiple. It's called Parsec held my button for longer than I intended.
Red.
But yeah, hopefully we'll get the faster cycle here. Drop on them. There we go.
Yep.
So
one extra space.
There we go, and then
what we're gonna do is.
Bye, Picky.
Yeah.
We knew you well.
Sorry, retail workers deserve better. He's suffered so much, and yet.
Be free. You no longer have to work in Misery Land.
It's true.
He's probably been down here for like 13 billion years, which is how long that Misery Land's been in operation for.
Throw to the right.
I throw that over there, and then we give Rikki this back here. So that box is going to drop down into that slot there, and you can run across one tile gaps as long as you have the momentum for it. So you saw Rikki.
I had to move very slightly further over to the right to make sure I threw it into the second slot, not the first one.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to put out these fires. I'm going to throw that there. Are you ready? Too bad if you're not.
You're going to take an extra little second there. Place. Yep. So, oh gosh. Oh no. Well, that's a problem.
Great.
Yeah. What they had to do down there was what I was trying to describe. They had to make sure they had a box in place to keep the two bridges that were the two gates from intersecting one another, because that would have stopped the bottom gate from extending all the way across the level.
And I grab this box now that, please. That X above Vicky's head means that I am trying to throw the box while it's intersecting with a wall tile. It does not work. All right, so this is Sonic the Hot Hog. And Vicky, if we get this boss right, we win by, well, Vicky wins by doing absolutely nothing, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, he did say
there we go. All right. Second.
That's the wrong. I'm supposed to go top left.
I forgot where you're supposed to be.
That's the correct location for the third phase of the fight, and I realized it about a half second too late. So yeah, the delineating factor here is he'll go to whichever height you're at, and he'll also come back if you're close enough to him. Like if I've gotten back over to his side of the screen before he makes it over to Vicky's side, then he comes at me again, and that's the plan. Ooh, I just got a little pickle of latency. All right, bottom, middle for you. And I will come back over here, because where you usually do it, he's going to spin all the way up and be right next to my tail. GG's. All right, so we got one fast cycle and one defeat as a... well.
That's all right. At least Vicky looks like she's going to kick your butt.
Yeah, no, I probably deserve it.
Like, Rikki! You've got some splaining to do, Rikki.
And I will over the rest of the run.
All right. So we're going
into... And so will Dut, to be fair.
We're going into Bubble Cavern. So remember when I said that you can't make good water stages? I stand by that statement. This stage has no water mechanic, but it's a water aesthetic.
And there's lots of waiting to do. If you like waiting, this is the world for you.
And there's aquatic wildlife here, like these box pups. These things like to eat boxes. I would like to be up here, please.
They will take boxes pointing towards their face into their mouth and spit them out on the opposite side of the level.
Like so. I need to go down and get that key, right?
Yes, you do.
That's kind of important. So the box pup will just kind of lazily go from side to side across the screen, waiting to pick up a box that's in its way, like so. Or
remember, don't feel like you need to get spicy with this.
Oh,
there is
God,
technically
no, not under this
also
latency.
a perfect cycle for this level, but yeah. Go ahead and wait until he comes up.
Yeah.
I'm waiting far enough over to the left that the lower box pup won't kill me. Whee!
There we go.
Very good.
But if this were the stage, like if this were a proper like charity marathon or something, this would be the stage where there's like tons of time for donations. Because this stage in particular, not just this world, but this stage, B2, has so much waiting, and Tree does not like being patient. So it's definitely gotten us into the unsolvable state more than a few times.
Or jumped down in a bad cycle and caused bad things to happen. It's all.
Yep.
All.
So you can actually save that a little bit,
yes,
rather than having it fall back
I should have been down already, technically. This is going to throw off the normal cycle a little bit, but I was just telling myself, hey, be patient, take your time.
Take your time, because dying here takes a lot more time than just waiting for the fish to move. All right. So I'm gonna
that was technically a spicier version of that move than I should have gone for, but I didn't want to fall down the hole.
No!
Okay, no, it works.
It's fine. It's
We're
fine.
good.
Everything's fine.
If he had carried it over to the other side, the level would have been soft locked.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to drop that down into his mouth.
I need to do several very spicy movements relatively quickly. And these are not they. Okay, there we go.
That works.
Actually.
All right, so Tree needs to throw to this box up twice so that we can get a stack that I can't actually speed up like reasonably.
Right, not like when I did it earlier.
Yeah, no, like the level configuration is not what it needs to be. So I need to drop down and get this key. Wait for this box up to
You're not
move.
at a good cycle.
And then we're going to drop down. I'm going to grab this box, and I need to make sure I'm all the way on the left of that square, because otherwise,
you need about a half a box's running space to make it over.
You took the box I wanted.
Time for some sweet MLG strats.
There we go. You can actually match this. It's not as unforgiving as it may look.
Yeah.
But this is the point where the game is like, hey, if you don't know that you can pick up and pick up a box when you jump off of it, you need to know now. Wait for me to come down.
Oops. Wow. We'll wait for him to come take that one.
All right, so still savable, thankfully, but if we had waited another cycle, we would have been in trouble.
Yep.
Okay, so
time for your favorite enemy.
I hate the fiddlers.
Speaking of waiting extra cycles, so if a fiddler encounters a player moving across the ground, its first instinct is to try to move to where it most recently detected that player, basically based on when the player's correct. Yeah, thank you. Reminder doesn't hurt. Basically, like as soon as it knows where you are within about 3 squares of it, it'll try to run over to you and slam you with its claw. If it doesn't notice you, or like something else distracts it, like a box, it'll try to pick up the box instead and throw it downwards.
Okay, good.
I didn't manage to get over in time. You did, I did not.
Okay, yeah, so it's a pretty tight window. You can see how this is set up. There's 2 fiddlers, one on top of like the very top line of platforms here, and then one with the by the switch. I need that fiddler to throw down to the switch, and then I need to not fail.
It's fine.
Now
you
I
get
have to
another
wait for this
chance.
cycle.
Yeah, you were always waiting for this one anyways. Since
there we go.
Yeah, you have to wait at least 1 full cycle for me to get a chance to go up anyways. So we only lost a tiny bit of time, all things considered.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we
Got those in place.
Yep, boxes in specific points.
Yeah, because we're actually looking to have them rest. I jump. Have them resting. You're looking to have them resting on those bubbles on the top of the screen. I don't know. I've been playing action platformers all evening. I'm a little antsy.
It's like, I must jump. It is very imperative. All right.
I have speed strats and I must jump.
Yeah, and you were supposed to get the gold key first, because that's actually faster, I think.
Oh, right. It is because we clear the level when you grab yours. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm already set up to grab mine like way ahead of time. All right.
You want to talk about the worst level in the game?
All right. So this level is bad. That's really the main thing I have to say about it. This level is bad. So if you really, really like gate jumps like this, boy howdy, are you in for a treat. That's a very early jump from tree.
Yeah, it was. It's 4 seconds after the box attaches. I went 4 seconds counting off of my own brain instead of... All right.
Okay. So I'm gonna be quiet.
Too late.
Yep. So this stage, if you haven't gotten the idea yet, I don't know what to tell you. This stage is so bad.
And the timing of the jumps is different because of which side of gates you're looking to get onto.
Get out of my way.
That's actually worse. That factors in the most on the final jump, but I haven't even gotten there yet.
All right. Okay. We're not out of the woods yet because there's one more jump, and this one has a weird timing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, good recovery.
Thank you. There it is.
Good. All right. Join me over here. We're gonna wait for this box to drop. I'm gonna. You jump to that?
No,
no.
You do need to throw it.
I couldn't remember for a moment. I just panicked
best to be
because
careful.
I don't want to
have to do the whole level again.
Yeah,
no, nobody does.
Not after that nonsense.
None of the people in the audience want us to do that level again.
No. All right, so this one requires Tree to trigger the fiddler on a very specific square because that's where it's going to go to. And that sets us up for a very ideal cycle for consistency. Yes. So these two, the box bup has stacked the boxes on the left here, and that's going to trigger the gate. But I'm going to have to wait for that. I'm going to grab this box because I'm going to need it down here later. I'm just going to throw it there, and then I got to do a precarious jump over that spike that's not particularly fun under latency. All right, so I just want to do that, and then bam. All right.
Very good.
That's exactly how we want that level to go compared to B8. So we have the Humboldt squid here, and this one is, while a long boss fight, and the boss music is fantastic in co-op, and you actually get a different boss track if you're playing as Rikki or Vikki.
Not all the way over to the wall.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of doing our call-out system to know remind us what kind of moves to make.
Yeah.
Box up.
So the whole thing about this
Wiggles.
boss is you need to, it's electrical based, so you need to worry about like sparks it's generating. The two tentacles will target Rikki and Vikki separately, and all right, cool. And it creates two halves of a box, which thankfully, if you're in the bottom right corner here, Rikki can bait by just jumping and form the box.
Wiggles.
And
then to be able to attack it, you actually need its electrically charged hands to complete a circuit by touching each other.
Yes.
Push it a little further back so we have some more leniency on not jumping into its hand when it does the wave here.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, you can see it's making the arena a little smaller every time. Wiggles.
Wait for the wiggles there. All right, cool. If we don't get that boss first try, then we've done something horribly wrong, because that boss is extremely consistent as long as you know its patterns. But
yes.
You should have seen how we were trying that on our casual playthrough. Oh my god.
Yep. We were trying to be on opposite sides of the screen, jumping towards each other and making the halves of the box cross over in the middle. Don't recommend it.
No, do not recommend. That is a lot more complex. It is doable though, so we did it.
We did it at least once, yes. This is the final full cavern, the metal cavern.
Yes, where we get
this leans heaviest into. There's going to be lots of switches, lots of patterns, and also tubes.
If you've ever played a Game Gear Sonic game, you'll know how much I love tubes.
They're very radical.
To get down there. All right, and then there we go. So you can see what tubes are interactable with the box because they have arrows on them showing, hey, the box can go in and out of here. So we have got Trash Bot here. I don't remember what its actual name is. But we're gonna...
Yeah, we just call it the trash can bot because it is trash every time we have to work with it.
It also looks like a trash can.
True.
And R2-D2 in one.
Cross between a trash can and a Dalek from Doctor Who. I will grab the gold.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Don't smash me against the wall, please.
Yeah, I didn't want to accidentally boost you up, which is why I stayed where I was. Because while you were trying to get the gold key, I'm like, it would really suck if I threw your head into spikes.
Remember. Okay, I'll do the first throw then. Ooh, nope, you'll do the first throw.
Yeah, I tend, despite being on latency, I'm better at these.
Okay, we got it in time. Good.
All right, cool.
So our other is the thing in the top right. When it crosses by the red arrows is a good time to throw.
Yeah,
and we're looking to get those boxes down to the pusher in the bottom right. Now we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait for it to come back. There we go. So we need a time, like the reason why we throw it up on the ceiling is to have it time. Ah! This should not work.
All right, let's reset.
All right, there we go. That might be a little early still, but we'll find out. It's fine. Okay, cool. Ooh. We're good.
We'll let them come back and then back out. Nice.
That looked very weird compared to how I normally do it because I didn't hold the box while I jumped up, but I was like, hey, cool. I jumped and somehow grabbed the box. All right, so you need to give me a box.
Yeah, right goes to left. And I think I go...
No. Stay over there.
Is it right? Left, center? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Because I do left to right. There we go.
Right. I mean, yes. Yeah, so their job is to feed me boxes, and my job is to know which section to be in to leap up and get another box without hitting the spikes.
There we go. And then I need to stack these boxes over here to hit the switch. And so you see that little that hallway, like that weird teal thing? That's a laser. You didn't see it fire.
It's gonna be our worst enemy in a couple of levels coming up.
Yep. All right. Trashbot returns, but we get revenge
we call this
on
level.
Trashbot.
Technically, this level is Revenge of Trashbot, but the revenge is actually ours.
You sure about that?
Well, no. Let's give it one more try. I forgot that it always goes over to the right after it finishes firing shots, so I was in the wrong place to fire at it.
All right, so
wait
this
a moment.
looks fun as a puzzle game. Yes, it is very fun as a puzzle game.
Okay,
you were going to trap yourself.
Yeah, you're right. I do need to get out here to... I need to make what is technically a coyote time jump, which is funny because we're foxes. But yeah, it's a jump where you need to jump after you fall off the edge of the platform.
Oh yeah,
ready when you are. Yep.
So this is the Foxbot. He's completely friendly to us. He destroys these Foxbot boxes, and is like he doesn't damage us or anything like that. And we use the buttons here to either reset with the exclamation point or move him left and right. You're gonna see a little bit more Foxbot usage here. We're gonna free him. Free him.
Foxbot deserves to be free.
Right. Yeah. And then I'm gonna move. Yeah, hold on. Oh, I guess we're doing it like this then.
Yep. Oops, sorry.
How? Oh, I've never seen that work. What? That's never
You're
worked
right.
like that. Whoa,
we actually
what in the
skipped.
world?
I think we skipped the step somehow because I flipped these switches at a seemingly random time that actually got us exactly what we needed. Go figure.
That's never happened before. That's pretty neat.
Agreed. We got 2 of those in one night. Go figure.
Send them right.
Yep.
Okay.
Reset.
Let me grab this box.
Yeah. We leave that one misery block there to make this a little bit easier to set up.
Yep. And then I need to free him. And then I need to grab this.
I will stop him here just in case that doesn't land right. Now I will keep him moving.
And then I grab this. You got to go hit the switch one more time.
Yep.
And then I throw you up there. And then I throw you up there.
Whee! Up, down, whatever works.
Yeah, no, this game is great. It's also like, honestly, our first playthrough was actually quite difficult. It took us several nights.
There you go.
It took us several nights to get through this over multiple sessions, and like a lot of the time we sat there like trying to figure out how to like
hand me the box.
There we go. I was like, I'm worried about where you are. But yeah, like this is very, very fun. Like, do recommend, and also like you can play it alone. You don't get the true ending if you play.
Oh wait,
it
I need
alone.
the other box before There we go.
Yeah,
like it's very much bubble bobble. If you're playing by yourself, you will not get the true ending. There we go.
It's facts. If I can hit the correct switch, there we go. Now I go down here and wait for cycles.
I got pushed out somehow.
You tapped left, and then the gate went down on you and zipped you to the left.
Yep.
That's also never happened before. Neat.
No, you're right. It hasn't. Oh dear. Your mind wanders as the ADHD mind is wont to do for even a moment in this, and things can go bad very fast.
You can honestly wait on the far left, and I just throw you the box. I'm pretty sure. And that would be faster because box throwing movement is a lot faster. You need that other box. You need that other box.
Oh, Fred, you're right. You continue to be correct in this matter.
Metal Cavern is, I think, like your worst nightmare because it involves a lot of waiting, even like in a weird way from like Bubble Cavern.
The run, the world absolutely has the most moving parts, which means the most things can go wrong for any variety of reasons. I have to wait there for you to grab your key. You have to not run into the spikes. We've had problems with a variety of those parts before.
Yep. All right. This level sucks.
Yeah. This is the second. Wow. I mean, I have done that before, but that's just. This is the second hardest Rikki level in the game. Because I have to juke out this laser that only recognizes me if I'm within like 3 blocks of it vertically. And then I have to pick up and drop that one block many times over the course of this level. I'm gonna edge out to where Foxpot is to throw it to the other side. Now I have to fake it out. Anytime I'm not pressing in appropriately, I'm gonna end up, there we go, having to drag that over. There we go. So it's entirely possible that like the coordination we have to do here is going to get fudged up because I'm just out of position to make a box grab. Yeah, you're smart to wait for me there. Here, this is a good one.
Yeah, I have to try to react
I even
to
called my
Rikki.
shot.
I have to try to react to Rikki here because like...
This is it.
Yeah, there we go. All right, my part of the level is done. We need Rikki to finish his part of the level, and it is very precarious.
Fine, we're trained professionals.
All right, don't whack your head. Okay.
There it is.
Okay, I also thought that like, okay, someone who said I thought that was a lizard or dry bones or something. Honestly, like I thought it was also like a dragon. I thought it was like a bone dragon or something. And then if you actually look at its back, it's got the little like wind up soldier thing going on.
It's got a cogwheel. All right, so this one is we are building a little bridge for. I took the wrong block. Reset, please.
Box. All right.
We have to build this box or build this bridge in real time.
Please, no. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine.
And again, because boxes slide if they're not placed over the center of the tile, they're. Here we go. You're good. Ooh, a little too much. That's the other way that can fail.
All right.
Go. Wait. Ooh, I missed.
I know I'm complaining a ton about latency, y'all, but like it is not normally this bad when we're not streaming.
Right.
We did. Oh shoot.
Coming back around.
We did submit this to AGDQ, and full disclosure, we're attending AGDQ if this gets in.
Go.
Actually, I'm attending regardless, but you know.
One more. Go.
Okay, there we go.
All right, we made it.
Oh my god.
Bring it back to the right. And then to the left one more time.
If I can please not be in the wall, thank you. Oh my god, I hate that level. That's the last full like level in the game, and it makes sure you know it.
Yeah. That one was an absolute menace the first time we did it. This is Steel Simeon. This is the 2 players have to work together to trigger switches for each other. Ooh, almost got a fast cycle. No, he's gonna get away. It's fine. Oh, you had to have the switch hit. Yeah. His remote will force him to be positioned over the tube where the box will come out, but he'll also fire an electrical shot at wherever he last saw the players standing. I don't know which way he's coming first. My way.
You.
Yeah, it's gonna bounce since.
Yeah.
I saw
remote. I didn't see it, so I saw it until like last second.
Sorry, I didn't say anything. That's on me.
Sometimes I will stand on the edge here, hoping to trigger his remote. Because if you stay out of reach long enough, he will just be like, "All right, you want to play that game? Well, we'll do it." All right, I'm gonna wait for him to come over to me.
Yeah, give you a second or two. I have to
All right,
wait till that first box lands.
Remote.
Unfortunately, this is a very long box cycle, but it's also a very small place for him
There we
to.
go.
Nice. It's the smallest amount of space he has to move between, so the chances of the box hitting him is the highest, which is a nice concession for how tricky that fight can otherwise be, especially when we
Yeah.
kind of had to freehand it like that one turned into. There is
Yeah.
technically a setup, a way to make it most reliable, but we got off that pattern pretty early. So
All right, so I did say M9 or Metal Cavern 9 was the last full level in the game. I was technically lying to you. I'm sorry, Chad. I'm so sorry.
how dare you?
I
How
lied.
dare you not tell them about the most difficult level in the game?
I know.
Like seriously,
I know.
I know you're withholding for dramatic effect, but still. All right,
I'm sorry,
gird
Chad, I
yourselves.
lied to you.
This is the hardest level. Here we go.
All right. Level EX. Oh. Record time. There we go.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. And as a reward for finishing level EX, you get to see all the boxes you've met along the way as you fall down to the very center of the earth and meet the Misery Dragon and the Discomfort Dispenser Mark II. Remember,
We don't
it
know what happened to
pushes
Mark
first.
1.
Well,
Yeah.
frankly, at this point, I'm afraid to ask. It
Same.
pushes first. Yeah, so it has 3 attacks. or
Laser!
4. You love your Sonic Colors references. I always
Yes,
thought
I
you were
do.
doing a Metal Slug reference, like the
No.
laser pickup from that game.
Rocket!
Again, also technically a Metal Slug reference. Okay, so he's got the laser, he's got the crane. When this hits him, we did not get the fast. Oh, we did get the fast cycle.
We did. That's why I went to the middle of the stage.
Good call. Yeah, so he'll do his big fan in a different direction each time. And so the first 2 of these, the claw that comes after the rocket will chase me. The 3rd time it goes after you. And yeah, our attacking is you have to know how to do that stealth throw. Push.
Whoa.
This last time, the hook is going to be looking after you when it comes
Yeah,
down.
I tend to join you over here.
And the throw, and then all we have to do is survive until that last box hits.
Nice.
Hey, very clean. That
All
one can
right.
go. That one can go bad in all sorts of ways. You can be just a quarter of a second late on pressing the direction you need to and get gusted into the spikes. You can be a little bit late in jumping over the rocket explosion and get nabbed there. You can accidentally push yourself into the spikes as you're trying to dodge the lasers.
But wait, there's more! I am fairly certain someone has played Undertale a number of times in their life. Misery here is throwing a small tantrum because deep inside he's a little baby and he's very angry that he is lost against us and he thinks that we're delusional for being like, yeah, we're gonna get our kids back. You kidnapped our kids, give them back.
Amber, you said he's a little baby. That's a pretty big looking baby.
No, he's an little baby. Little bitty baby.
If you're sure.
I mean, I'm
All
pretty
right,
sure here.
Take your position. Let's get to it.
He's got to stop rattling on at us.
Oh,
'cause,
right. I'm sorry. He
you
has
know,
to tell us that he'll keep fighting us until the end of time or the end of our days.
Yeah, something like that. Now we're gonna rumble with him. He big angy. All right. See, he an itty bitty.
Oh yeah, there
All
was a little baby in there. Never mind. You're right.
So, all right. So we actually have a very set pattern for this. This is actually a pretty predictable boss if you know what you're looking for. But he's also taken our children, Sam and Marie, and has mutated them into the Incredible Hulk, and I don't know what in the world Marie has become. I use an audio
You want to
cue
break
here.
on all 3 of the cycles here?
Yes, please, because I'm on parsec
Right.
bad latency instead of doable latency.
Okay, so the reason we each have a box here is because we need to break open the section revealing the little baby, and then the other person needs to throw to actually damage the boss. That was you almost had a crisis of conscience as far as which direction to go.
Yeah. Well, like I hadn't seen it start yet. By the way,
Gotcha.
for this child attacking phase, or the children attacking us phase, there we go, let's rephrase it. We actually align ourselves under the timer and the letter L in the top of the HUD there where it says level.
Yeah, shout outs to Utu and Tokiji on that. The only other runners of this game in the co-op category and the people who showed us how to do that.
Yes. Without their run, we wouldn't have found the consistent strats for Humboldt Squid or for this boss at all, or even like some of the other things that we've like learned from them for certain levels as well.
By the way, time comes up when we land the final hit on the demon in just a little bit here.
Yep. This is his last cycle here.
You basically want to time it so that you're running when watch out. Okay. I thought that next one might hit you. And time. GG's.
GG.
He does his giant full screen death throws. Everyone has to look at their monitor or phone or device get shockingly bright all of a sudden.
Just I can't really get my other hand to track, but you know, I'm just mimicking the pose there. Oh goodness. What was the time on that? If I could ask Richard. 49:45. That's
50.
really good. Sub 50, very good.
Yeah.
And under like less than ideal conditions and everything like that. That was actually very good. My goodness.
Yeah. What usually happens to us is we'll get something will go wrong on a level, and it'll be like we try to push through a solution for that level, and it just makes things worse, and we get stuck on that level for 2, even 3 minutes. So
yeah, for sure.
That really didn't happen on this running, with like one exception.
The sand cavern was a little rough, and B8, Bubble Cavern 8, is awful as always. I mean, like, you can get it first try. I think our PB / world record doesn't even have it first try.
No,
but it has
we
a
did
lot
do
of
one
other
run,
good
which
things
does,
going.
but
yeah.
And you wanna tell us about our outro here? I know how much you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Misery Dragon here, he's like, that's not even my final form. He wants to be a Frieza or a Cell. He's like, you losers don't stand a chance. Another victory for Misery. But I have a very important appointment to attend. Or left the kettle on. We'll have to pick this up later. Now, I know this all might seem slightly resemble running away, but I assure you that's not the case. We'll definitely see each other again real soon. That's a promise!
Yes! And finally, after all that hassle and just under 50 minutes of speedrunning, we get to take our kids home. And look at that.
Walk cycles.
Look at those waddles. Yeah, this game is just really charming to look at.
Yeah.
We think it has a lot for people to enjoy as a viewing experience, and once you wrap your head around it, honestly, like in hindsight, as frustrating, like I think our first play of this game took 4, maybe 5 separate play sessions, because we would get to a puzzle and we just didn't understand how to solve, and we'd be like, all right, put this down, it's 1 a.m, we'll come back to it later when we're less tired and figure it out then. And fresh pair of eyes often helps, but after labbing it out, we're at the point where we can consistently around the 50-minute mark. So that feels really good. It's really a great joy of both of ours to be able to, satisfying to play, be able to show off what doing this, the odds of seeing a completely perfect run of this game are really low because there's so many different moving pieces, and remembering all of them in their right timing is low, but you get 90% of them in any given run, and it, I like to think it looks pretty good, and it feels good to do it too. So
it's also hilarious
so much,
in co-op. It's my pleasure. Like one of the more like around the holiday Steam sale or so, I think. It was like around January. We picked up this game in February, I think. And I was like, hey, you want to play Rikki and Vikki with me? And because I'd been eyeing it for a while, because it runs on Atari 7800 hardware, believe it or not.
Not nearly as smoothly as this. You'll experience lots of slowdown. But
it does run, and it has a physical release. You can't get it anymore, but it was a very limited physical release back in 2018. It's just very, very cool. Also, you get this image. It's very cute.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I won't spoil the single player ending, but it is not like this. If you have seen this run and you're like, oh, well, now all the puzzles are spoiled, don't worry. There's an entirely different campaign if you play by yourself. Play by yourself. You'll forget all of the solutions that you saw here today for co-op. Then find a friend and be like, hey, I got a bad idea. You want to play this with me? And there's also there's a secret warp zone. There's a secret world that's completely different from what you saw here today. That is also it teaches you some of the more advanced mechanics that are available to you in the game. And honestly, picking up the speedrun probably would have been a lot harder if we hadn't done what we call the irregular cavern, which is that world I was just talking about.
That's true. The one time I mentioned doing a coyote jump isn't the only instance of it in the run. There are like 3. The irregular cavern is basically nothing but coyote jumps.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's certainly a thing. And also, if you watch Attract mode here, it shows you all the different things you can do with the box, which is really cool. And soundtrack's fantastic. The composer Rushjet 1 has also released a like FX chip style version. So like almost like what if this was on the Sega Genesis and there were more sound channels.
Yeah, it's an FM synth table version of the soundtrack, in addition to several other remixes and outtakes.
Yeah, but overall, definitely recommend picking this game up, especially when it goes on sale. Even if it's not, it's like $10. But good times. Steam Remote Play or Parsec is your solution because it's not online co-op otherwise. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the show outro unless you have any shout-outs you'd like to make.
Hey, shout-outs to Amber Cyprin. They're a great speedrunner.
Hey.
Shoutouts also to their events team, Fast Paced Events.
Hey.
There's going to be an announcement related to Fast Paced Events coming up soon, which, Saturday. Yes, I have the insight on because I am part of the staff of Fast Paced Events.
And I'm the head organizer, so Saturday. Keep an eye out on Saturday on FPE's Twitter. But speaking of Twitter, you should @ Games Done Quick on Twitter to let them know what you're hoping to see on the games list for AGDQ. This game has been submitted. 30XX has been submitted. There's a whole plethora of awesome games. Like the Sonic community came in strong. Just lots of really awesome things out there on that games list. So definitely check that out. And remote volunteer applications do open up September 25th. And keep your eyes out for that if you would like to help out with AGDQ from the comfort of your own home. And meanwhile, until then, tune in tomorrow for the first step, followed by Think Fast. It's all starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to press the like button on this video, fill up the like button, like bucket, and subscribe to the channel. And also go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content. Until then, though, please look after yourselves and your loved ones. Drink some water, stretch your legs, eat a snack, take your medicine or vitamins if you need to, and remember that you are valid and deserve all the best. Please send all of this wonderful positive energy over to our raid target for tonight, and have a great rest of your night. Bye!